way ahead of you.
Literally, I don't have stuff on the page.
Hasn't started.
No, there's an error.
Are you guys commentating for just this lane or for both?
Just this one. Yeah. We might like update the scores on the other ones, but yeah.
I'm just playing catch up. I'm going the multicam crew. So
Yep.
I got a text late last night. Hey, show up here in the morning. All right, cool.
Perfect. Yep, it's all good.
All right, what's up?
Both up. Right on. Okay, well, welcome to the Canada Games, 2019 Canada Games from Red Deer, Alberta. We're here with, my name's Joel Peterman. I'll be doing some of the commentating here this weekend, and I'm joined by Dustin Ekstrand. Hi, Dustin.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in across the country. We're excited to see some great young curling today, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting to get these kids out here for the first time. They're on the ice for the first time, just finishing up practice here. We're going to be featuring some Manitoba versus Newfoundland this morning, so we'll get you some women's curling action from the first draw at the Canada Games, so we're pretty excited to get going.
Yeah, you got to think these kids are pretty excited for a lot of them here today. This has got to be their first time on the national stage. So, Joel, for someone like you that played in this, you were in this in 2007, I believe. What was kind of running through your mind for the first practice and first game?
A lot of nerves. I think a lot of these kids will be feeling kind of the same thing. You got to get used to the ice, and you got to get used to the atmosphere, I think is the biggest thing. You're not used to having, for the most part, these kids aren't used to having fans out on the ice cheering for you and going through all those different emotions. And there's going to be people cheering while you're throwing because there's different sheets going on, and there's a lot of different things that you got to take into account. But teams that are prepared well with their coaching should have the best success, I think. So.
Yeah, and you look up and down the lineup here, you do see some coaching here that have some pretty thick experience that should really help some of these kids as they kind of carry on through this competition, especially if they start getting some good momentum and a lot of W's under their belt.
Yeah, absolutely. We see, like, we can look in Alberta, we have Nicole Bellamy. In BC, we got Brian Mickey. In Saskatchewan, we got Marcia Gooderites. So we got quite a few coaches with a lot of good experience here that'll really help these kids prepare for this event.
Yeah, you got Brier champions, Scotty's world champions, really. Again, that's a great experience and a great resource to, well, I don't want to say depend on, but utilize throughout the week.
Absolutely. Kind of lean on those guys when you need the support. And when the kids get in the crunch, sometimes you need kind of that calming influence on them. So.
But you spoke about the crowd. It's great to see a full crowd here for the first draw. I think they'll get a great buzz going about this morning, hopefully. Hopefully there's a lot of cowbells and hooting and hollering here to kind of liven up the Winter Games here in Red Deer.
Absolutely. You can see Nova Scotia's already getting right into it, cheering their practice stone here, so I can imagine the atmosphere is going to be quite lively out there.
Makes you wonder if they're all sober or not.
Absolutely. You'd hope so. We're not even 10 a.m. yet.
Yeah, but it's 1 o'clock their time.
Exactly. Perfect. So we got 10 sheets of ice here. We're going to be trying to maybe update you guys on some scores throughout the thing, but we got Manitoba Newfoundland will be our feature game for the women. But we got over on sheet 2, we got PEI taking on, just 1 second here, Ontario. On sheet 3, we also have PEI taking on Ontario because there was a boys and a girls game. So how it's going to work, guys, is we're going to have a girls game and a guys game side by side for the two provinces playing each other, and it'll be consistent all the way through. So we got PEI Ontario on 2 and 3. Women's Saskatchewan versus Northwest Territories on 4, with the men beside them on 5. On 6, we got Quebec taking on Alberta on sheet 6, the girls. Right beside them is the boys, Quebec on Alberta. Sheet 8 is New Brunswick versus Nova Scotia, so a good eastern battle there right to start. And on sheet 10 and 11, obviously we have Manitoba taking on Newfoundland on our feature sheet. Try and give you guys some updates just in case you're watching from around the country. We got a lot of fans here. We kind of look like we got sections in the bleachers. Each kind of country has their section with their flag already posted up behind. Looks pretty awesome out there.
Deliver your last stone with the counterclockwise rotation.
Well, let's watch this draw to the button here from both from the Newfoundland ladies team here. For you guys watching kind of the first bit of action here, this draw to the button is to determine hammer. You're going to see a lot of swing here. They've got a lot of curl. It's very fast. It'll be interesting to see how the ice holds up here through this 8-end game.
Absolutely. Wade and his crew here at the Red Deer Curling Club do a fantastic job with the ice. They get these kids ready to go, and they give them the best possible ice that they can play on. Some of them might not be used to the curl, though, will they, Dustin?
No, and I mean, we kind of go back to coaching. That's probably one of the keys. Like even watching this one here die out on them, it shows you where putting handle on the rock is going to be important. We can't have kind of those half rotation type rocks on ice like this. The key will be positive rotation and lots of communication with the sweepers.
Absolutely.
Umpire Tom McPhee there. Been with Alberta Curling and Canada Curling for a long, long time.
Got a lot of high-level officials here, too. I think our head official is Brenda Rogers. We'll see her out and about. She does a lot of the high-level curling events. You'll see her around. I think she was at the Banff Skins game here in Banff. She'll do a lot of the Scotty Tournament Hearts when it's around this area. So she's a very high-level official, and she's very well respected in our community. And, of course, if you see somebody with a large, puffy red and off gold color coats, those are our volunteers. So thank you so much to our volunteers that are supporting this event as well. Dustin, did you get one of those nice puffy coats?
You know what? Not yet, but I will be getting one.
Perfect.
And you know what? I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan, so it's not all lost. You know, those are kind of their colors. So
there is San Francisco.
I can wear that if I'm ever watching a game outside, I guess.
Perfect. There is actually San Francisco 49ers fans then.
Yeah, there's one up here.
There's
anyways,
one.
yeah.
That's perfect. I'm an Eagles fan, so I can't say much. However, we did win the Super Bowl last year.
So those volunteers at the other end, they're the game observers. If anybody's kind of wondering why we have volunteers walking up the side of the sheet. And their job is strictly to just, if there's ever a controversy with maybe someone kicking a stone or a controversy if a rock comes off the boards and hits another rock, it's their role to kind of help the athletes determine where that rock should have been if it was moved in violation.
Absolutely. We also have we'll have 7 roaming officials that'll be out there, including Brenda Rogers, as we mentioned before. So those will be more doing the official officiating, I guess. If there needs to be measurements and stuff, they'll have them come out and they'll do the measurements of the stones for the athletes.
Just kind of waiting for the cue from the bagpiper here, are we not?
Yeah, I think we got Scott Dixon doing some bagpiping in. I'll get the kids in here, and then we'll get going. We got O Canada to start. Then we'll get going. The atmosphere's starting to pick up.
You know, the games as a whole really has been very exciting, I got to say. We've taken in some other events, some events that you may not normally get to see. Here, like for me, we watched wheelchair basketball. Phenomenal. Just great stuff. It's been a great event, and Red Deer's really taken it in, I got to say.
I heard that wheelchair basketball just had the craziest atmosphere, no matter what game it was there.
Yeah. It was aggressive. It was physical. Very athletic. It was very impressive. But again, a lot of the other sports too. We went short track speed skating. We've seen gymnastics, the hockey. I mean, everything we've taken in has been very impressive. These young athletes work hard to hone their craft. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can tell that we definitely have future Olympians in our midst when we're sitting out here and observing these athletes, which is pretty incredible to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're going to see a lot of people in 2026 probably competing here.
Yep, absolutely.
Playing at that Winter Games. So
I remember that was one of the coolest experiences when we were there in 2007 is we got to go watch all the other sports, and I remember watching speed skating was the one we watched as well, and this name of Marianne St. Gelais won all these medals for Team Quebec that year. It turns out a couple years later she was in the Olympics competing for Team Canada, and she won silver at the Olympics. So it was pretty cool to see how the transition they go from here and they work their way right up into the Olympic team.
Well, you're right too. Like with certain sports, it's a more accelerated pace, isn't it?
Mhm.
For some of the gymnasts and the speed skaters, they can kind of get into that games at a very young age. Where curling, we see it, but not as commonly. Like I say, for a lot of these people that are maybe 16, 17, 18. It's kind of that progression where you see them in their mid to late 20s kind of penetrate that world stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Start dethroning some of these older curlers that we've gotten so accustomed to watching.
Absolutely. I think hockey's another one that we see a lot of those kids get right into the spotlight, I guess, right away.
Yeah.
You see a lot of these players that break out at the Canada Games, and then you see their names popping up in the WHL, QMJHL. It's a big mouthful there. OHL and a lot of different things, and then they make their way into the NHL soon. So.
Well, and that's probably what makes Canada Games even more relevant as time goes on. Is it seems like most sports are getting younger and younger, isn't it? Like you talk about hockey, for example, and NHL is just getting younger and younger. They talk about that all the time, right? We're seeing that in curling too, especially at the front end position, right? We're seeing a lot of very young, powerful front enders winning a lot very quickly in their careers.
I guess that would be a good segue to tell you who I am. I guess my name is Joel Peterman. I'm the older brother of Jocelyn Peterman, who's the second on Jennifer Jones. So obviously Jocelyn's made an incredible jump in her career. She was at the Canada Games in 2011, where she came home with the silver medal. Now she's obviously playing with Jennifer Jones, so right at the top teams, right at the pinnacle. So she's done quite well for herself, working from a young age and working hard, and now it's kind of reached that summit. So it's good for her.
And throughout the week, you've got other kind of support with the commentary. Chelsea Carey is expected to come here, who, if anybody's following this week, she's punched her ticket into the final at the Scotties. So it'll be interesting to see later on today how she makes out in that game against either Saskatchewan or Ontario.
Absolutely. I believe that semifinal is going on right now with Ontario. Looks like they're up 2-1 in the fourth end. A little update on the Scott Tournament of Hearts, too, for our curling fans watching across the country. Obviously, you can watch that on our TSN broadcast. TSN will be here on Tuesday, the 26th, I believe, and they'll be doing a game right on sheet 11. So you won't get to hear our amazing voices there, Dustin, but however, they'll be taking over for us.
Well, you can't spoil the population every day.
Yeah, absolutely. They get so accustomed to such amazing commentating, especially these next couple days, and then they'll get TSN, and then we'll take a step back, I guess.
Nova Scotia fans have calmed down a bit.
They have.
What's up there?
Did they not win the last stone draw?
I don't. Yeah. Well, the cold weather hasn't deterred anybody from showing up today. That's for sure.
No. Fans are basically packed all the way down. It's good to see on both sides. So we got a lot of spectators up here behind us, a lot of volunteers. So thank you once again to all our volunteers. We got statisticians up here. We got rock watchers. We got time clocks. We got our VIP station. We got a volunteer lounge behind us. We got our amazing Julia and Mike that are going to help us out with some commentating as well. So we got everybody here that's doing their part. So thank you to all our volunteers. Takes a big army to make an event like this work. I think they got over 5,000 volunteers throughout all the different games, events, I guess, going around the city. So it's good to see the Royd Redder supported it. Oh, here we go. I believe they're marching in. Don't quite have audio out on the rink, but you can imagine some bagpipes going on right now. It's very Scottish feel. Good support from across the country here. The fans are starting to get loud. Saskatchewan's out in full force, it looks like, on the far side with Alberta, big Alberta flag flying in the stands. This is what the Canada Games is truly about. This experience for the kids is second to none. They'll remember this for the rest of their lives. And then, of course, my partner here, Dustin, has quite the experience on the national stage as well. He went to the Brier in, what year was that?
2011.
2011.
Just as an alternate with Kevin Martin's team.
Welcome to the Fraternity Center, site of the curling competition of the 2019
Here's our introduction. We'll give it to them.
Games. This competition is presented by Shaw, the official telecommunications provider of the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Bienvenue au Centre Pederny pour la compétition de curling des Jeux d'hiver de Canada 2019. Cette compétition est présentée par Shaw. Morning event features men's and women's draw number 1. Ce matin, nous vous présentons l'épreuve de Sur la piste numéro 3, Ontario contre Île de Prince-Édouard. On sheet number 4 for the women, we have Northwest Territories versus Saskatchewan. Sur la piste numéro 5, we have Northwest Territories versus Saskatchewan. For the women, on sheet number 6, we have Alberta versus Quebec. Pour les femmes, nous avons Alberta contre Québec sur piste numéro 6. On sheet number 7, we have the men's Alberta versus Quebec. Sur piste numéro 7, les hommes Alberta contre Québec. On sheet number 8, we have New Brunswick versus Nova Scotia for the women's. Sur la piste numéro 8, le Nouveau-Brunswick contre la Nouvelle-Écosse for les femmes. On number 9, we have the men's New Brunswick versus Nova Scotia. Sur piste numéro 9, Nouveau-Brunswick contre la Nouvelle-Écosse. On sheet number 10, we have women's Manitoba versus Newfoundland and Labrador. Sur piste numéro 10, le Manitoba contre le Terre-Neuve et Labrador. And for the men on sheet 11, Manitoba versus Newfoundland and Labrador. Sur piste numéro 11, Manitoba contre le Terre-Neuve et Labrador. And now a word from our sponsors.
Great job by our announcer, Sarah, down there introducing the teams. Almost getting ready to go here. I think we got O Canada. All the fans are rising. We got O Canada, and then we'll get going with some curling. I think the kids are starting to get a little bit nervous standing here waiting for their game to start, but once they get going, Dustin, I'm sure they'll settle right in.
Well, again, you got to say, like, again, I've played in the junior nationals. You played at the Canadian Winter Games. That first game is a rush. You might not even remember the first 3 ends, right? And rightfully so. Again, this is the first time for a lot of these people that they're playing on the national stage. Ice conditions are going to be different than their club conditions. Just everything about this is different. And at this age, that's the big thing. How do you get yourself calmed down and in the moment, right? And it's not easy to do without great coaching, like I say.
Absolutely. We might see some of these teams simplify their strategy a little bit early on.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever et enlever vos chapeaux pour l'hymne national.
A beautiful rendition of O Canada Start Canada games here. Very operatic. Is that the right word?
It's a word.
It's getting ready to go here.
Will commence shortly. You may slide. Les jeux vont commencer bientôt. Vous pouvez glisser.
So once again, if you're just joining us for the start of this game, we're at the 2019 Canada Winter Games. This is draw 1, so it's going to be our first draw of, I think, we got over, let's check quickly here. Got over 12 draws, so we'll have 12 draws throughout the week. Kids are getting pretty excited. Draw 1, Manitoba versus Newfoundland. We're going to be featuring the women's game today. So I guess we could introduce our teams before we get started here. I'll do Team Newfoundland. So Team Newfoundland is skipped by Mckenzie Mitchell. These guys are out of Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm not sure exactly which town, but we can figure out for you guys. Our third will be Sarah Lambswood, with our second being Michaela O'Reilly, and our lead being Ainsley Percy. So that's our Team Newfoundland. They'll be taking on Team Team Manitoba. Dustin, can you give me their names?
Yeah, we have skip Haley Bergman, third Anastasia Ginters, second Peyton Bergman, and lead Cheyenne Enos. And all between the ages here of 16 and 18 on this team. So great young team out of Manitoba. A lot of experience I'm seeing here at the high school level. So again, Manitoba in most cases is always considered one of the stronger provinces. So it'll be interesting to see how they do here today against Newfoundland.
Absolutely. Our Team Newfoundland is also a pretty young team. I think we're anywhere ranging from 16 to 17, so it's another young team. Looks like Manitoba's going to be starting with hammer here, so they obviously won our last stone draw. And we're getting going.
Yeah. It's got to make Haley feel good throwing that draw. She gets side a button, which is great to see right off the start here. So
just getting things going here with Ainsley Percy, our lead for Newfoundland. Getting those jitters out right away. It's nice to be sometimes almost err a little on the light side on that first rock, just so you can get your sweepers into the game a little bit.
Well, and again, as I said earlier, you can see there's great swing in the ice there. So that it did overcurl a little bit on the girls, but again, to be expected to start as they get used to these ice conditions here that are just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. You can see that both teams are kind of simplifying their strategy early on here, trying to get their legs under them. Cheyenne Enos here with the takeout, trying to just keep things clean early on. Good shot by Cheyenne.
Yeah, and again, really smart, just a little more rotation on there, a little more weight to begin with. Again, I got to think for a lot of these curlers, this much swing is probably new to a lot of them, so it's good to just err on the right side of things.
Absolutely. You can see they're taking quite a bit of ice here, almost a foot and a half ice you just gave her there. And we're still going hard on their rock, trying to keep it straight.
Piercy's got to feel good about that. Again, draw weight, bite in the top four, and then make a nice little hit and roll back to center. So
perfect start for her.
Happy with that.
Enos a little tight here, trying to keep it straight for her.
I really like the form of the front sweeper I'm seeing here. That's a really good way for all you young curlers that are watching, if maybe your brother or cousin or friend is playing here today. Getting down low on the broom there and putting a lot of pressure is really, almost scratching the ice, they say, right, Joel?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great form, great way to hold that rock.
Absolutely. I don't have much experience on the sweeping end, so I can't comment too much on that.
You swept for me for a year.
Absolutely. I don't know how well. But
this one we're going to want a little curl for her.
Left that yellow rock still in play. Kind of gives the advantage over here to Manitoba. Going to try and split the house. Get an early deuce on Newfoundland, it looks like. Got some awesome jackets out here too. All the team jackets have their from across the country. They do such a good job. I'm not sure who made these ones, but Dynasty's doing such a good job with the Scotties and everything else so far. That's a shout out to Dynasty Curling
Well, and
Apparel.
we can give a shout out to Columbia for the volunteer gear.
For the volunteer gear, absolutely.
A little heavy there.
Peyton Bergman with a little bit heavy on her draw there, trying to split the house. Wonder if Skip Haley Bergman gets a little bit more mad at her sister when she misses a shot. Hopefully not. Gives the advantage kind of back to Newfoundland to try and keep this end a little simple. So this is Michaela O'Reilly. Michaela O'Reilly's out at Cornerbrook, Newfoundland.
Again, we're just seeing Newfoundland getting a little bit caught with the swing there. I mean, great to see them hold it.
A little bit less weight was thrown there too,
Yeah,
it looked like.
it's just you may want to look at just stepping up the weight a little bit with this much swing.
Nice lefty second here, Dustin. You got to attest to that.
Yeah,
It's nice.
you know there's a competitive advantage there, that alone. So
You got to have at least one good lefty on every team, it seems
Yeah.
like.
that's what I was told anyways.
There we go. Good bounce back by Peyton.
Yeah, perfect weight. Splitting the tee line. Again, I think very smart for both skips to just ease into this game and keep this first end nice and open. Get used to the ice conditions. See a few rocks come down. And that's the other thing too, like these rocks are aggressive in nature too, so you are going to have some rocks that curl more than others. You know, a big role for the coach is to kind of watch that and maybe point out, you know, whether that 5 rock, say, is curling more than the 6. Or
Absolutely. Trying to keep this one straight here. She seems a little tight. Enough to take it out. Yeah, just enough. So that was Sarah Lambs with the hit and roll out, but she still made the rock go away, which is kind of the main objective, I guess, in this first end.
And again, for Haley, I like that she's trying, you know, both sides of the house, trying to see the whole sheet, what it's doing. Is it consistent across? Are there any runs, maybe spots where the ice isn't curling as much? Again, as this game goes on, you're going to see that slide path in the middle wear down, and conditions will change. So it's good for her to be kind of on top of what the whole sheet's doing.
Absolutely. We got a Ginters here. Anastasia Ginters out of Altona, Manitoba. So it looks like they're a little bit from everywhere on both these teams. Kind of come together. You see that a lot at the younger ages. If they can't find a good competitive team from their hometown, they kind of reach out to the communities around and try and find that best competitive team to take to the national level, I guess.
Yeah.
Just hangs on at the back there, does the trick.
Very nice delivery here from the third. Very nice form.
Haven't seen a single tuck delivery from the Manitoba girls yet. Just watching over on the boys sheet, and we've already had a few, so a little bit.
That one's over curled a little bit there.
Gives the advantage back to Manitoba here. Going to try and split the house. Another thing a lot of these kids won't be used to is the time clocks, Dustin, will they? The time clocks that kind of keep them honest.
No, you're right. For most kind of provincial competitions at the junior level, you may not face that until, well, the provincial final really is when they initiate them, right? So for, again, when I'm looking at the background of some of these players, I don't think there's time clocks at the school provincial level like I'm seeing. So it could be new to them. Well, they would have dealt with it at their trials games, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So they have had a little bit of experience with it.
Good sweeping there.
Yes, way to drag that in. Very sharp angle for any kind of double.
Good sweeping there by Cheyenne and Peyton. Helping out their third, get that one in the rings. Looks like Mackenzie's going to stick to this one out on the other side. She might know the ice a little bit better since she just threw it.
Yeah, I'm all right with that call, like you say, because you've seen it. But one other thing you would maybe consider is hitting this higher rock and maybe trying to roll over there and setting up some sort of a double. You know, if this shot is made and you're assuming the skip against you is going to make her two, you're almost kind of conceding two here. But again, that's a safe call. And like I say, you've seen the ice up here.
So they got the single sweeper on this.
This one's looking pretty good, but it's still curling, finishing fairly hard. But she's going to get some roll here, which is not bad if it hangs around.
Important
But
to
it's gonna
stay.
roll out.
Shoot. Good try there by Newfoundland, trying to keep that one straight. Unfortunately, the rollout's going to still leave the opportunity to split the house here for Manitoba.
Yeah, so for Haley here, I think she just kind of, I don't know if she tapped there, I didn't see, but, you know, keeping this in the back of the house is probably a pretty good spot for this one to, basically the biggest thing for her right now is to just not put this in the top 8 and leave some sort of a double.
Mm-hmm. More space is the better, I guess. Makes the double harder, even if they're split apart. It's good for Haley, too, going forward. Trying to get some draw weight early. Gives her the opportunity to kind of feel out the ice. As a skip, you always like throwing a few draws early in the game to try and get a handle of the ice.
Well, nothing's better for confidence when you have that early, when you feel like you've got draw weight in your back pocket. Sweepers are off and on it, so it must be pretty close.
Gotta go. They're losing it a little bit on line. Should be good enough, though.
Well, that works out very well. There's no double. It does the job, that's for sure. Great little shot. We just timed that draw, and it's already a little over 15 seconds, which is pretty quick. And that's hog to hog for people that were wondering what 15 seconds is.
So that's running pretty quick. You see ice kind of at the Scotties and the Briar and things like that run close to 14 and a half, 15 seconds usually. So pretty comparable ice out here. Wade and his crew have got the ice looking awesome today. And we're expecting good conditions all week. Mckenzie's going to try and hit this one and probably roll as close as she can over that one. I guess perfect shot would be to roll right behind the other yellow. They've seen this spot a few times, so they're hoping to try and figure it out here.
This one's hanging a little bit for Team Newfoundland, but got rid of the stone, and we'll see here if Haley can just hit the paint here for the first deuce.
Absolutely. I think now the only discussion is which turn they want to throw. Since they just saw the turn going away, I think they were contemplating if they wanted to play towards the middle or if they wanted to keep this same consistent turn that they just threw on the last one. So just going back to that time clock thing too, Dustin, I believe they get 30 minutes thinking time. So thinking time, just for our fans at home, is going to be as soon as the last stone comes to rest, the skip, the clock will start, and then it'll stop once the team crosses the tee line. So about right now, the clock will stop, and they'll get 30 minutes of that thinking time throughout the game. It's really important to kind of bank that time when you can and use it when you have a little bit more complex shots. The girls are working on this one, but now they seem to be on and off, so we should be close. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, good start for Manitoba, and a nice opening deuce.
Doing a great job. So 2-0 here early. Manitoba gets the deuce early on. It's a really good confidence boost for them.
And if we look in for the parents there that for Manitoba and Newfoundland on the men's side, blank end to start over there. We're not seeing any large ends if we look across all the sheets.
Looks only a few ends where there's a few rocks in play, but everybody else is kind of taking that same strategy of keeping it simple early on. So back to Cheyenne Enos here. Strategy here now that they've got the deuce, they're looking like they're going to come right into the top four, Dustin. Why would they do that, do you think?
Well, there is no point to put a guard up first, right? Like for them to have a 2-0 lead, put the pressure on, put a nice rock here, top 4. If they choose to guard it with the next one, that may very well make sense. But there's no point in putting a guard if it ever over curls or something and kind of leaves them an off-center guard. It's going to help Newfoundland more than it'll help them, right?
Absolutely. So Mitchell has decided to hit this one. It's covering the button. She's decided to have her lead. Ainsley Percy take this one out. Maybe a little bit too good one to leave there.
Rock's reacting really nice. Well managed all the way down the sheet.
Absolutely. Shannon Enos looking, it's hanging a little bit on her, isn't it?
And that's actually a really good example of the difference in weight Newfoundland is throwing versus Manitoba. You're seeing Newfoundland throw a lot softer hit weight, kind of just that board style weight, where that was probably closer to Manitoba's controller normal even there, and it's just not going to come up for them in with the same amount of curl.
Absolutely. Wade and his crew it's kind of the way they build their ice. Has nice and swing with the draw weight, but it'll run a little bit straighter if you have that up weight. Newfoundland now trying to split the rings.
And now we're kind of seeing a reverse, aren't we, Joel, here, where now Newfoundland gets the opportunity to split the rings here and see if they can keep these two shooters spread out for the rest of the end.
Absolutely. Good shot there, slides a little bit deep. Kind of allows the opportunity for Manitoba to roll over a little, close to it at least. Maybe help set up a double later in the end.
Yeah, for Manitoba right now, you're just wanting to kind of hit, maybe roll a little bit to the inside, try to get these rocks closer together, right? I get a little bit of a roll, slightly.
Not so terrible on the nose, though. That's the way to miss it, I guess. Now, ideally here, Newfoundland would roll a little bit to the outside to try and keep those rocks spaced out and kind of keep the angle for the double a little bit flatter. It's important to have good weight here. Overthrow this, it could run straight on you like Dustin was mentioning.
It may be tough to see on the stream, but again, with the less handle, you're actually seeing considerably more finish for the Newfoundland hits versus Manitoba, which is be interesting throughout the game just to see how the two skips decide where to broom each other when they can't really fully go off each other's teams for information, right?
Absolutely. Newfoundland with the nose hit here allows Manitoba a little bit more angle to roll over there. Looks close.
This is, whoa. Whoa.
Oh.
Oh my.
Rollout will leave Mitchell the opportunity to split the house again. Maybe get a little bit better angle on her two stones and set up that deuce like they're looking forward to bounce back here. Starting to see some more rocks and play across the sheets. Kids are getting a little bit more comfortable with the ice. See a center guard up on almost every sheet looking across, except our own, of course.
Hoping this one will settle down for a bit, but it's not looking that way. Oh.
Good sweeping there by the skip.
For those watching that don't have the access to the overhead camera, that rock is just out. Just by an inch or two of weight.
Probably don't have the same angle here that Dustin and I do. You guys have that kind of angled view. Might be a little bit tough to see, but as Dustin said, it is out, which will allow Manitoba the opportunity to take out the blue here and have the blank or the force back in play.
For those of you that can hear that in the background, yes, that is Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart.
Got some pretty good costumes for our fans out there too. We got a few fat heads, it looks like, some kids with their heads on there, and we got our Nova Scotia with their, of course, their fishing hats, the yellow fishing hats.
Are you allowed to say fat face now?
Fat head?
I don't know. It's you don't want to offend people.
Isn't it a brand? It's a brand name, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh. I'm getting older.
Keep you young with the lingo, Dustin.
I've always appreciated the blue nosers, though.
Yep.
I always like the yellow heads.
It's awesome.
Unless there's just a leak in the roof over there, I don't know. Tried the freeze there, very close. It's still, this has to be hit correctly, or, you know, again, if it's ever hit on the outside, there's probably a strong possibility it actually hits and rolls back into the house here. So this rock does need to be hit properly here by Team Manitoba.
If they could hit it right on the nose too, I think that would be ideal, because then you're sitting right in front of it.
Nose hit would be a great result for them. Nose or inside nose, right? Like,
yeah. Sometimes Skip will say that down the ice. Kind of the pro side to miss is what they call it. Hitting on the outside here might be trouble.
oh
No.
See, that just speaks a little bit to sometimes just learning the ice a little bit, because it was swept most of the way down, and again, just kind of missed the wrong way, right? You're fine to hit the inside half.
Yeah.
In that situation, you don't. I mean, you're right. Again, I'm sure the goal there was to nose it and really put some pressure on Newfoundland, but
Got to remember the pro side to miss. Which will allow Mitchell once again the opportunity to split the house. Her third. Sarah Lambswood will attempt to draw over on the other side of the rings here. Try and get as much space as they can between those two stones. Sweepers are on and off it, so it looks pretty good.
So for Haley here, probably just another hit and roll. Try to maybe roll in front of that other blue in the back 12. But definitely wants to roll somewhere over in that direction. Again, nosing's not going to do a lot in this situation. The angle's just going to be too steep. With that ice, maybe throwing a little bit less weight than they have been throwing, Joel.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring that weight down a little bit easier to control for the sweepers. They can manage it a little bit better.
When you're trying to make a roll, Joel, what kind of weight do you like to see?
I personally, especially in red deer ice like this, when you get in good, nice speed, I love to throw like that board weight.
You know, let this get the sweepers involved, right?
Exactly.
Help them manage the rock down the ice.
So a board weight would be if the rock came down right next to the boards that are behind the hack, I believe.
Well, she's definitely rolling here. She's got a good one, I think.
Oh, a little bit in between.
No. Very good throw, though. Again, I like that it was aggressively called, though. I mean,
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely, you want to stay in the house, but I just like to see that those girls are calling these lines aggressively, because it just shows that they really want to make them, right?
Yep. A little bit in between on that one. If they would have left it a little bit, we might have made the double, but it's nice that they're at least trying to roll that direction. Now the same thing we kind of said for Haley in the first end. Now Mckenzie gets a chance to find draw weight here in the second end, which would be big for her going forward.
Where do you think she ideally wants to put this? Kind of top house?
I think, yeah, that's what they call it, is kind of right on the E of the red deer on the logo. They're trying to go top 8 to try and keep that angle as steep as possible. I think this thing
need to clean it. This is a pretty good looking shot here by Team of Newfoundland. Again, well managed. You can see them communicating with each other up and down the ice, which is vital.
Exactly. As a coach of a young juvenile team, I think that's one thing that I stress the most is communication at a young age. You see the teams on TV, that's what they're doing the whole way down the sheet, is they're communicating with the skip and the sweepers, and they've got person who throw it, gives a little bit of input after they release, and the more communication the better, I think, is important. especially for the sweepers.
Right you are, Joel.
It'll allow Manitoba the similar shot as they had last time. Obviously, their goal here is they're going to be trying to hit this blue one and roll over towards the other blue one. A double would be ideal, but anywhere in front of it will kind of make it difficult for Newfoundland trying to get their deuce.
I would expect her to be close. She's just thrown it. It's virtually in the same spot it was last time, maybe just a little bit over to, as we're viewing it, our left. Haley's right. Nice clean release.
A little bit bigger weight here, though, Dustin, it looks like. A little bit bigger weight. She'll bonk it right on the nose.
Yeah. Well, she'll make Mckenzie have to make a play on it. So.
With the nose hit here, Newfoundland can tie it up at 2. We're hoping to hit anywhere on the inside of this. Try and throw that nice controlled weight that they've been throwing. We'll allow our sweepers to manage it a little bit. Try and make that nose hit and get right back in this thing. Mckenzie with the hit for 2 here in the second end. Lambswood in the house doesn't like it early, and they're trying to high side sweeping this, so this is kind of directional sweeping.
Yes. But you know what? Again, this nice softer weight. No. Access denied. And they'll be forced to take 1 here in the second.
A little bit wide there by Mckenzie. They were trying to high side sweep that, so while we have a little break in action here, Dustin, can you explain a little bit of the directional sweeping that they were trying to do on that last one?
So the idea there is obviously to just, they're sweeping the direction in which they want it to curl. So when they're sweeping against the path, they're trying to hold it. When they're sweeping with the path, like you saw there, they're actually trying to direct the rock to encourage it to curl more. Again, with these new pads, they say it's doing a lot less than it was, say, 2-3 years ago on those more aggressive pads. But that's the objective there.
Any little thing can help, I guess.
Well, that's right, yeah. And I think if you can put a lot of pressure down, at this level, if you're able to sweep properly, you probably can help it, especially with that kind of a weight. When it's, up normal or peel, I don't think you're really doing that much. But definitely in those hacks and boards and heavy draws, you can encourage the rock to go the direction you want for sure. For the Alberta fans, our boys team helped themselves to a little 3-ender in the first end, so off to the right start for them. We've got a 3-under over on sheet A, so Ontario and PEI on the ladies' game is 3-0. We've got Ontario and PEI at 2-0 after 2 on the boys' game. Saskatchewan's up 2-0, playing their last rock in the second in the ladies' game. We've got a couple of blank ends in the Saskatchewan Northwest Territories game. In the ladies' game for Quebec and Alberta, 1-0 for Quebec. With Skips Rocks coming there in the second end. We touched on the Alberta game being 3-0 for the boys against Quebec. We've got Nova Scotia 1-0 in the ladies' game as they start the third end. New Brunswick retaining hammer there. We've got Nova Scotia just throwing their last rock here in the second, drawing against the couple, and they are down 1-0 to New Brunswick. You have our game at 2-1, and over on sheet 11, Newfoundland up 1-0 after 2.
That's our Around the Rings from Dustin Extran. Thank you, Dustin, for taking us around the rings there. We don't quite have the same camera coverage that TSN would be when we go around the rings there.
No, you have to imagine it. We'll try and be more, what is it, illustrative with our details, I guess.
So we might see a little more rocks in play here. Newfoundland threw their first rock in the house. Manitoba removed it. Enos removed it with their first one. But now Newfoundland's gone up with the center guard with their second one. So we might see a few more rocks in play. Enos is going to try and come around this, so we see our first kind of come around of the day.
And for those of you watching at the club level, maybe wondering, it is the 5-rock rule for this event. So if Newfoundland, if this was it's a really bad example in this end, but if Manitoba wanted to peel that blue one right now, if they had been throwing, they could not.
However, terrible example because it didn't apply to this end whatsoever.
No. And I'm pretty sure for whoever listened to that, they went, "What? That didn't." I still don't understand the rule if they didn't before.
Our 16 followers probably watching us online right now. Shout out to all the grandparents of the girls. Or everybody watching across the country. We're hoping you'll listen to us. And if you're not today, you might be tomorrow because you heard how well we've done today. Or maybe we won't be back. Working on this one a little bit, trying to get into the rings. Trying to come around. Ideally it would be top 4. Girls are working on it. They're going to be a little bit short.
But you know what? It's a good miss there. It's a very usable stone for them. Rocks like that are much better used there than in the back of the house.
So Manitoba's going to try and come around here as well. With hammer coming around the center guard, they have to try and keep this above the tee line. Slipping behind the tee line will kind of allow Newfoundland that chance again to come kind of take advantage of the front of the house. So a little bit heavy there. O'Reilly trying to come around here. Once again, trying to get it to curl. It's good weight, just hung out a little bit on them, but
it's a good shot.
Yeah, good finish.
I'm actually surprised it didn't curl more for her. Interesting to watch that stone actually and see if it's a little bit straighter than some of the other ones, because that one was good weight. Not, it wasn't a helicopter. It was nice rotation. And expect a little more finish there.
Sometimes you see that when they get a little bit too much rotation. They're kind of ideally looking for what, about 2.5 rotations down the sheet?
Yeah, I think the textbook changes now depending on the swing, right?
That's true, absolutely.
Peyton just wanting this one to come up a little bit more for her.
A little bit heavy, and she'll jam at the back. Are we allowed to use Vic's term when he says stuffed it on every time they jam?
I think so. I don't think he copyrighted it.
Stuffed it right in the back. Which will allow Newfoundland the chance to try and get right behind that guard again.
It's a great opportunity for them here to really put some pressure on them if they choose to draw. But it looks like she's going with the hit here. So Joel, if you're coaching this team, are you happy with this call, or what would you be looking at with the options here?
They kind of got the front of the house controlled here, which I don't actually mind their position. I would kind of want them to take advantage of that, maybe go in top 4. They kind of got that crossed over guard at the top. Hitting this one kind of allows Manitoba a little bit of an out, especially if they roll out here, which we see there. Now with the rock behind the tee line, Manitoba's just going to come to the top 4. This is where, as a coach, you're happy if they make this rock top 4, but maybe happy trying to clear up that scoring zone at the front too would not be a bad call for Manitoba. A good draw by Ginter though. Kind of makes my comment insignificant, I guess. A little bit tight here though out of her hand. Girls really got to go on this one to keep it straight, because it wouldn't be very good if they tapped the blue one in. Not a good result there by Ginter. A little bit tight to the room, kind of got inside the sliding path a little bit. Get a little bit started, and the girls tried to work on it to keep it straight for her, but unfortunately she tapped that Newfoundland stone right to the top of the forefoot. That's going to allow Newfoundland to kind of control this top of the scoring zone. And if they get a guard on this and Manitoba doesn't make a good one, could be in for trouble here.
Yeah, they've got the ability here to put some real pressure on. Looks like she's calling for the guard, or now are they considering drawing in and tapping a bit here? Kind of, I think that's what they're deciding on right now.
So good draw by Lambswood, kind of ideally if you could get in that top 12-foot range and kind of staggered a little bit.
Yeah, they've decided on the guard here. I saw that they indicated a 2, and for a 2, that's about a halfway guard is what that means.
So 2, when Dustin says 2, that's referring to the Furby system back in the day. So a 1 would be a just over the hog line guard, a 2 would be a halfway guard, a 3 would be tight towards the house, and then progresses all the way through 10 right at the back of the house. Kind of looking for the depth they wanted there, that 2 right in the halfway guard, kind of right where they called. So a good shot there by Lambswood.
Perfect shot.
Oh, let there be light. We were a little in the dark there, weren't we, Dustin? Now they kind of put some lights on for us.
So if this is hit right, with enough weight, probably all 3 guards could go and some carnage in the house.
You're worried about that middle blue one maybe squirting in, though, if they hit it at the wrong angle.
Yes. So we'll see here.
She's close.
Close onto half.
There it is.
Like you say. Bit of an unlucky result.
Mm-hmm. Just by hitting at that angle kind of allows that blue one to spin towards that one in the top 4. Kind of covering up. Newfoundland in good position here to steal, to get back in this game.
The nice thing for her here too is she's got a few options. She doesn't have to wrap this perfectly. She can be top 12 and open, and would still put a lot of pressure on Manitoba to have to make something with her next one. She just doesn't want to be heavy here, really is what.
Absolutely. If you're anywhere high, you can see Manitoba probably already planning. They might have to bail a little bit and go with the draw if they're light. However, if they come a little bit too deep, they might leave Manitoba that double of some kind to get out of this end. Mckenzie Mitchell, our skip from Newfoundland here. Hometown of Irishtown, Summerside. Don't exactly know where that is. We could probably look it up here for you guys, but Mckenzie Mitchell, 17-year-old skip. You can follow her on Instagram at Mckenzie.mo1. Shout out. I know all these kids love their Instagram, so the more followers I'm sure she would be happy to have.
Well, that's a little too high. Might force Manitoba into having to draw, yep.
Now that they're forced to draw 2, almost opens up a deuce if they can put this one in good.
Yeah, it'll be, if she throws this top 4, even half in the top 4 foot, just getting shot, it'll virtually be unmovable.
Exactly.
If the line is right. So we're doing Instagram handles. Well, for Haley, it's at Haley Bergman with just an underscore on the end.
Underscore.
No number following, just at Haley Bergman underscore.
Get these kids some followers. I know that's probably the most important thing for them.
Well, the medals are what's the most
right.
important.
Right. And the friendships that they build at these Canada Games.
The line looks like money, but where is the weight? They're not too eager to put a broom down.
No, the sweepers don't look like they want to touch this one. However, she does have some backing at the back. I don't know if she'll be shot. A little bit too heavy.
I don't think so. Nope. It'll be a second shot.
So it's tough for you guys to see, but our overhand cam shows that blue is still shot. Newfoundland will still be shot rock.
Yeah, so for those watching, basically that blue rock in the top is about a third into the forefoot, and that back yellow is just biting. And then the blue rock in the back of the house, there's about half in the 12-foot, half in the 8-foot. So again, for Newfoundland, if they could put this top 4 buried, be very hard for Manitoba to score even. They'll have to probably come wide around and see if they can touch the side of the button. Oohs and ahs after a great shot over on sheet 11 there, which is Newfoundland Manitoba
as well.
Game.
Yeah, great shot by the men's Newfoundland skip over there. So once again, Mckenzie Mitchell from Irishtown, Summerside, which I looked up, is the population of only 1,400 people. Not a very big city there in Newfoundland. It's located about 2 miles north of Corner Brook, so shout out to everybody in Irishtown, Summerside. Hopefully you're watching there from home. Supporting your girl Mckenzie here as her draw comes in. Looks a little bit heavy, Dustin.
But it's very close. I think they're actually second shot, but it does leave backing now for Manitoba to draw down to and get their one. If they do come down to the backing, they will be shot. So.
Ideally there, Dustin, would the miss have been light, do you think?
Absolutely. Even if that was a guard, right? She's going to have to come down a new path to make that draw against only being one, but still one. And again, giving up control of the game at that point, if you do give up a steal here, where now they've got a good chance. Well, I shouldn't say give up control, but tie up the game. Where now she's got a fairly straightforward shot to get her one.
Which allows the Manitoba skip a little bit more wiggle room, I guess. She can throw that same weight and still be fine with that backing now. Anywhere from top 4 foot all the way till back 8 foot with the right line can still make this shot. The older Bergman here, looking to draw in, get her single point. Her sister on the broom. A little bit tighter line, but as long as they get by here, Dustin, they should be good.
I think they're just fine. They might as well just keep the path clean here and take their one. Looks really good. Should be just fine. They should actually be sweeping this. Oh no.
Oh no. That'll allow the steal of one for Newfoundland.
That's one of those little bit of a lesson there to be learned in being a junior curler. Again, you got to wonder what the communication was there, because if it was communicated that it was a little heavy and being that back 4, back 8 weight, a few licks of the broom there and it just crashes into the backing and they're fine. But they kind of allowed that to overcurl, and it's a 2-point swing.
Absolutely. Communication would be key there. If the sweepers can let the third know right away that's a little heavy. More communication, the better.
Mitchell has to feel pretty fortunate there, because again, that was actually a well-thrown rock. It was thrown the way it should have been to be made. Just needed to be managed a little bit more appropriately on the line.
Absolutely. But our Newfoundland fans listening aren't complaining here. Now we got a 2-2 game going to the 4th end.
And you're seeing Mitchell asked for this one to be in the house, which is the right call, because again, now that the game's tied, there is no need to generate offense. They can put a little bit on, put the pressure on them. Scoring and even ends are important, so you're probably not going to see in a tie game somebody throw up the guard first.
You see a lot about that on TV. The kind of scoreboard management is kind of what they call it.
Yes.
Scoreboard management, trying to score in the even ends, like Dustin said, so then you're scoring hopefully in the 8th end to win the game is kind of the idea behind that.
Now again, for us talking about that and saying we want to score in even ends, is this maybe a spot where you'd like to see Manitoba throw up a corner guard where, you know, we're hitting a rock in the back of the house? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think kind of taking advantage of kind of the swingy ice would be nice if you're Manitoba. Maybe after that last one kind of got away from them, maybe trying to keep things simple is kind of their idea, but throwing up a corner guard would have been nice to kind of get the offense rolling. Hitting that rock now allows Mitchell to kind of do the same thing and Mitchell's happy. If Manitoba doesn't want to score in the even end, I don't think Mitchell's too sad about that. So
For your fans in Newfoundland on the men's side, they stole 2 actually in the third end, so they're up 3-0. So Newfoundland and Labrador must be pretty happy right now.
Absolutely.
With what they saw in the third. Got a good rock here by Newfoundland.
looking to hang on, and it will.
Just even here, again, aggressive in nature. This rock to me is actually quite usable for Manitoba. I would even consider guarding it.
Yeah. If you throw a guard up on this and use it later as some backing, kind of like we saw last end.
But to your point, I understand, you know, you've had maybe the third end wasn't very friendly, and we're thinking let's just calm our nerves and have a straightforward end here for an end, which is understandable too.
Sometimes needed at the competition like this.
Yep.
The Brunswick boys seem to be having a good game beside us. They've stolen another one to extend their lead to 4-0 over Nova Scotia.
It's a nice throw there by Team Manitoba. Just nice controlled weight.
Yeah.
Well swept, well thrown.
You can tell maybe the nerves have kind of settled down a little bit. The weights are starting to come down.
It's always interesting at this level watching younger teams deal with that little bit of adversity when you have an end not go your way and see how they react, right?
So she's a little bit wide here, but the sweepers are indicating that she's a little less weight than what they called. So a little directional sweeping hopefully might help it out. A little bit too wide, and it'll roll out. Interesting to see what Manitoba will do here now. Looks like they're still trying to keep things pretty simple, aren't they, Dustin? I think the rock was called right on the tee line.
Yeah, like you say, it looks like the objective here is maybe to just blank an end, slow things down, maybe change the momentum of the game a little bit, and
oftentimes
see
you
what
see
the fifth end breaks.
Yep. Oftentimes you see Manitoba teams are pretty good hitters too, so you might see them playing to their strengths a little bit here. Trying to keep the game a little bit simpler. A little bit heavy. Yeah, it's going to slide through the rings.
Right by the Pioneer Fall League champion team, Deckel.
Shout out to the Pioneer Fall League.
Yeah.
Ed Hedge won that.
Haggy.
Haggy. Hedge, Haggy. Can't read. Beautiful rink here in Red Deer, though. The Red Deer Curling Club. It was redone here in 2011, I believe.
It opened in 2012.
2012?
Oh, yeah.
But a beautiful rink. They got 12 sheets of ice. We're only utilizing 10 for the event. They got bleachers along sheet 12 and sheet 1, so it's a beautiful facility here, kind of one of the best that you'll see across Canada. So we're really fortunate to be here. It's actually the first time in Canada Games history that I think they've hosted the men's and women's at the same time, just because of the big facility that they have here in Red Deer.
So typically it's a 12-sheeter, but we've obviously got 2 sheets designated for bleachers, so we're able to do that because we have 10 sheets that are active, where most rinks are 8-sheeters, if people were curious.
Beautiful facility, though. The interior here was redone, too. I know a lot of our volunteers and fans sitting around us are really enjoying themselves. Out on the sheet, they got all the bleachers. It seems like it just keeps getting more people out there. Meanwhile, on our sheet, Bergman makes the hit.
Avoids the jam in the back.
Yeah,
rolls her to the pinhole. That's curling.
Be a perfect little hot shot there.
Oh, yeah.
A little hit and roll right to the button.
Oh, baby.
Big shout out to the Paterni staff, though. They got the kitchen staff downstairs. They got obviously all the ice staff working on the ice, Wade and his crew. We got the front managers and everything doing their job at the front, and then obviously all of the volunteers for the Canada Games. So they're all working together to make this event move smoothly.
Looks like they're aggressively calling they want to roll it a bit. Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good shot.
If you guys want an update on the Scott Tournament of Hearts semifinal that's currently going on, you guys are probably watching it. However, Rachel Homan just popped a 4-ender against Saskatchewan. So now up 6-2 after the 6th end. a big shot there. I think they're currently in the 7th end. It's just not in front of us right now. I just got the line score. Saskatchewan back end doesn't seem to be having a great game. Back on our
This one's getting a little tight.
Once again, getting caught with a little bit more swing on the sheet.
Yeah, like it was tight to begin with, but you're right. There wasn't a lot of handle on that rock, and then it's just very hard for the sweepers to be able to hold it. Oh, for those that were watching you, they're probably like, well, wrong, Joel. There's a 3-ender made in 7 there, so it's 6-5 now.
Oh, goodness. So if you're watching it live on TV, you knew before us that I was wrong. So I apologize for that. However, it is 6-5 now for Ontario. Saskatchewan gets right back in that game. Robin Silvernagle in her first Scotties. It's kind of a cool story that Robin Silvernagle kind of lost the provincial final 2 years in a row on the last rock and then finally makes it this year. And obviously her first Scotties, and now she's having lots of success in the semifinal today.
Well, Newfoundland's team tried to do everything they could to drag that, but it comes up just a little bit short. Manitoba will get a second crack at this takeout.
So the blank is still on here for Manitoba. Their kind of mission, it seems like, was to blank this end, and if they can make this hit and manage this rock well, looks like it's still in play. Looks like a good one. Good adjustment there by Ginter.
You know, we don't have to just give, we can give the Instagram handles to all the players, can we not?
Oh.
Or is it just team ones?
No, I think they have their individual ones as well.
Okay.
We'll give those to you a little bit later. They have Twitter handles. These kids got everything now.
Anastasia doesn't. Oh, she does. It is Stasia.Ginters. Stasia.
STASIA.
Ginters.
Ginters. Follow her on Instagram. Give her a follow. Made a great hit there on her last shot. Now Mitchell.
Again, I like how Mitchell's throwing the rock here. Just nice rotation, nice board, nice controllable weight. You can see them directing it toward the yellow rock here. She's going to hit her on the thick side and hang around.
I think the only reason she stuck around there is that nice weight. Yeah.
She's settling in.
Very nice weight choice there.
Pretty conservative called game, though, so far. Really, the third end's the only one that really had a bunch of action, really.
Rocks in play. Besides the miss in the first end by Newfoundland, that was kind of led to our only deuce of the game.
And kind of was the same thing in the second end for Newfoundland, right?
Yeah,
splitting
absolutely.
the rings and just trying to keep two stones separated for 16 shots.
You'll see throughout the week as these kids get more comfortable with the ice and things, the strategy might pick up a little bit. However, I say that and I look across the sheets and there's one sheet, Saskatchewan Northwest Territories now, that might have every rock in play. So I guess it just depends on their comfortability. Once again, I don't know if that's a word, but it is a word.
I don't even know if that one's a word that time. That's a combination of several words, isn't it? Just nice controlled weight again here.
Super's cleaning it.
Looking good.
Beautiful shot there.
Rolled her to a nice spot, too.
The important thing there was to avoid the jam. Obviously, roll anywhere to the outside and stick in the rings was important there for Bergman. She did the job. So well called there by Ginters in the house. Well swept by the sweepers. Kind of makes Mitchell's shot a little bit more difficult here. She's got to be careful. I don't know if she can jam it into the house, but
she'd have to be unlucky too. But you know what? If she high-sided it and it jammed fairly thick, it might roll dead enough. But she'd have to throw a lot of weight to do that.
She would. We're getting some cheering from somewhere. Somebody's making some shots. Anywhere on the inside of this, though, should do the trick for Mitchell. Won't take much of it to take it out. So if she stays on the inside, rolls anywhere to the middle, she's done her job. The inside sweeper on it should be good. Looks like another good one here by Mitchell. She's really settled in.
Another great shot by Team Newfoundland.
A little emphasis on that one, Dustin.
Yep.
Got to spice it up for our fans.
Newfoundland's made a nice freeze on the men's side, and it'll force Manitoba to have to draw for their one. So Manitoba looking for the blank here. Hit half a rock, right?
Hit half a rock, roll out of the rings. Mission accomplished. Ends like this kind of bank the team a little bit more time going into the second half of the game. So we'll see a little bit of a fourth end break here. So the teams will receive, I think, 5 minutes after the end of completion of this end. They'll get 5 minutes to kind of eat some snacks and recover a little bit, talk some strategy for the second half, kind of see how they want to attack the second half of this game.
Do we get snacks?
I haven't seen any snacks.
Oh.
Somebody could bring us some snacks. We don't have anything in front of us right now. You got a water. How's that?
Done. Are they taking their one here? This isn't very big weight.
Oh.
It looks like they're taking their one. And which isn't a bad option, right? Scoring in an even end is always a positive, and taking their one here to take the lead into the break. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. It's one of those ones where it's ideal to roll out, but if you end up nosing it, it's not too bad. And you're just avoiding the flash there, I guess. Will kind of change the momentum. This is a good shot there by Bergman. She'll defer hammer over to Newfoundland for the fifth end. However, she takes the lead.
Over on sheet 3 in a shocking turn of events, Ontario has stolen 4.
Oh.
6-1 for that men's game, and you cannot be happy if you're a PEI fan right now.
No, both boys and girls. Ontario
Yeah,
is.
yes. I'll say it. It's a thrashing.
That'd be awesome. Oh, that is awesome.
So we can update everybody during the break again here. We obviously know what's going on with Ontario PEI. It's not good for PEI right now. But sheets 4 and 5, Saskatchewan holds 2-point leads in both, as they both wrapping up their fourth ends. 4-2 for the ladies and 2-0 for the men.
Looks like a lot of rocks in play in the men's game, though, so it could be a little bit of change here.
Yeah, it looks like Saskatchewan is laying 2 behind a herd of guards. And
this is us being much more visual with our updates this time. Yes. Herd of guards.
Northwest Territories is looking at drawing side of button against 2 rocks, 1 side of button, 1 top 4. Alberta, Quebec share identical scoreboards, both 3-1.
Unless identical is 4-1 and 3-1, Dustin. The one game will be 4-1, the one game is.
Right, right, you are. But both playing the fourth end.
Yes, absolutely. Right. No, well, the one team's done.
And then we have Nova Scotia 4-1 against New Brunswick at the break in the ladies' game, and 4-0 for the New Brunswick boys. But Nova Scotia here drawing for 2 to lie 2 with their skips first.
Tough little shot here. They're kind of coming through a port.
And Manitoba made their
draw for 1.
Draw for 1 on sheet 11 in the boys' game as they go to their break.
We were talking about it earlier, but I think the Manitoba lead, I believe his brother is the reigning champion at the Canada Winter Games. So his brother was gold medal winner for the Manitoba boys back in 2015.
Where was that games hosted at, Joel?
We'll have to look it up here. 2015 Canada Winter Games were hosted in Prince George, British Columbia.
Oh, okay. Yours were in the Yukon in 2007, is that correct?
We were. Yeah. We got to go to the beautiful Yukon, Whitehorse, Yukon. It was.
How much sunlight did you get then?
It was interesting because it was freezing.
Yes.
I think the one day was like minus 45. It was very cold. It was such a cool experience though, because not only you're in the Canada Winter Games, but you're in Whitehorse, Yukon. So we got to do dog sledding the one day, which was super cool. Something that I've I'll never do again. I got to take in the whole Inuit games that were also up there because it was hosted in Whitehorse, Yukon.
Oh, okay.
It was so cool to see all those kind of events. And obviously the curling event was a lot of fun too. We were lucky enough to play well that week, and a really cool experience. Played some big teams. I think we beat PEI in the semifinal, that was Brett Gallant at the time. Brett Gallant, who is now the second for Brad Gushu. So shout out to Brett. I've actually never lost to the guy in a curling game.
Thank you.
He does tend to beat me when we play golf, so I got to give him that. However, he has never beat me in curling.
How much time do you give it? Like, let's put a hot rumor out there. How long will it be till he's your brother-in-law?
So he's my brother-in-law. Obviously, if you didn't know, Brett Gallant is dating my sister, Jocelyn Peterman. We give him a hard time quite a bit. Jocelyn won the Banff Skins game here a couple weeks ago, and we were actually giving him a hard time that Jocelyn can buy her own ring now since she makes more money than he does at that Bonspiel.
Right.
So, not to put too much pressure on you, Brett, but it'd be lovely to have you in the family. He's a great guy. Pretty good golfer, I guess. I'll give him a little bit of credit that way, and obviously he's a fantastic curler. So, got to give a testament to the guy's character. He's an awesome guy, too. So, it's the only compliment you ever get, Brett. Somebody has just brought in us snacks and coffee, though, Dustin. How happy are you? You got into that cookie before it even hit the table, I believe. You can't talk because he's full of double chocolate cookie right now. However, back to our action. I'll talk while he's eating. We have Enos here starting our fifth end. After the fifth end break, they had that nice little snack break. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. Oh, she's bringing us chips and granola. Shout out to No Sack Meats, one of the sponsors. One of my students is No Sack, so shout out to them. We got coffee in front of us, getting treated like rock stars. Manitoba called that first one in the top of the 4 foot. And once again, we're not going to see much for rocks in play this end, as Newfoundland's are going to take that one out, try and roll to the wings. I'll be on my own for a little bit as Dustin enjoys his cookie. How is that cookie? Well, they're losing this one a little bit to line, but maybe deciding to roll the opposite direction, which isn't too bad. Thank you, sir. Yeah, made a nice roll to their wings there.
It's a rough break for you. That was the only cookie in there.
Looks like I got some Cliff. I'm taking the pepperoni stick, though. You don't get that, even though there's 2 of them. Pretty straightforward end again here. Enos looking to take it out. Try and stay on the nose or anywhere towards the center would be a great roll for them. Yeah, well done by Manitoba.
I see the girls settling in and everything's kind of hitting to higher quality. We're not hitting halves and rolling out. We're starting to see a lot of nose hits and sticks and rounds. That's great, just showing you that they're getting used to the ice conditions. And
absolutely.
I've seen enough now that they're getting much more comfortable with watching how much snap there is in the ice.
Absolutely. Dustin, I'm happy to tell you, though, on the Quebec-Alberta sheets, they are the exact same score now. They are now 5-1 each. So the girls stole a deuce to make it 5-1, and the boys stole a single point to make it 5-1. So now they are indeed the same score. So you were correct, just predicting the future a little bit. Good shot there by Newfoundland. Now we got Bergman here, the younger Bergman, trying to stay right on the nose. She's made it perfect. They're really settling in. So as we were saying earlier, the last games were held in Prince George, British Columbia. With our curling, we had Manitoba winning the boys' side. And we had Ontario winning the women's side. So it's kind of an update on our defending champions, I guess. Ontario women obviously starting strong over on the sheet, like Dustin said. We've had quite a few good curlers come through the Canada Games throughout the years. Our 3-time reigning junior champion, Tyler Tardy, was at the Canada Games back in 2015. He came home with the bronze medal that year. We also have Mary Fay, who was the women's champion for juniors 2 years ago. She was the silver medalist in 2015. So a lot of good curlers come through this Canada Games. Tyler Tardy winning yesterday. He won the World Juniors for the 2nd year in a row. That Tyler Tardy's quite a strong team, and you're going to start seeing their name pop up more men's events. I think we saw them at one of the Slam events this year, but you'll start seeing that name pop up a few more times. Dustin's still not talking because he's still eating. Dustin's really hungry this morning. He just finished his first Cliff Bar and his second cookie. Just one cookie. Newfoundland a little bit wide there, working to get this out of the rings is Mitchell. She's going to leave it around. Tough one there, a little hung out on her. A little bit more weight and kind of ran a little straight on her. Ginters is going to try and replace that one on the top forefoot. So our schedule for broadcasting will be, we'll have one game at 10 a.m. each day. We'll also have a game at 5 p.m. each day. And then on the Tuesday, the 26th, TSN will be coming in to do a game in the afternoon. So unfortunately, we won't have any webcasting games that day, I don't believe. However, we will have webcasting every other day at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. On the Friday, March 1st, you'll have 3 games that day because you'll start right in the morning at 9 a.m. After 9 a.m., you'll have your quarterfinals starting at 2 with your semifinals that night, Friday night at 5 p.m., I believe, 5 or 6 p.m. So a busy day that Friday.
Friday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
7 p.m. Thank you, Dustin.
Yes. Mountain Time.
Welcome back to the broadcast, Dustin. Ginters makes the draw to the top forefoot there. Just a little short, I guess, top 8 foot.
Good result, though.
Yep. Without hammer, kind of putting the pressure on Newfoundland with 2 rocks in play. Newfoundland will try and, Lambswood will try and roll right over towards that other one. You can follow Lambswood on Instagram at @SMcNeilLambswood.
He's trying to finish for her.
Yeah, I think we're going to be right on the nose here.
The Newfoundland fans like it.
Yep.
They got cowbells. I told you there'd be some out there.
We need more cowbell.
It's too bad we don't have, like, this window couldn't open up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
A little bit colder for
Maybe
our fans
we
up
could
here.
bring in sound effects throughout the week.
Yeah, absolutely. And bring our own sound effects. We can get 2 rocks and clank them together when there's a hit. Like the old radio broadcast.
Gotta be careful here. The jam out wide. This one's coming in a little wide.
Ooh, no.
Oh no.
Dad jams it. That'll allow Newfoundland the chance for a deuce here. Ginters was probably hoping.
Disastrous result.
Disastrous. Yes, you were trying to stay on the inside there. If we were stayed on the inside, no harm would have been done. Unfortunately, Ginter's a little bit wide, maybe a little bit heavy. And unfortunately, she's left the opportunity for Newfoundland to split the house here and set up a deuce. Lambswood again from Stephenville, Newfoundland.
Gonna have to sweep this one to get her there.
They're going on her hard. O'Reilly and Percy working on it, trying to get into the rings.
Great drag, great sweep, well managed.
Great job there, O'Reilly and Percy. Give it their all, trying to help out their third.
So we've essentially seen 4 out of the 5 ends like this. As a coach, what are you expecting kind of in the last 3 ends if you're coaching either team to generate some offense? Because really, a deuce is going to be huge in a game like this.
Absolutely. A little bit less intense strategy right now. So if we could kind of see, it kind of depends on the scoreboard too, Dustin. If a team's tied up with Hammer, they're probably happy with this kind of strategy going late in the game.
Right.
However, if a deuce kind of happens here, if we can see Newfoundland get a deuce and all of a sudden take the lead on Manitoba, you might see a little bit change in strategy and maybe a guard go up.
The only thing that'll be interesting to see with that is where all the teams' draw weights are at, just because there hasn't been a lot of draws thrown. I mean, there have been some, but not a lot. It hasn't been the flow of the game, has it?
Absolutely. And I think a big thing is, Dustin, yes, there's been maybe a few draws, but a lot of the draws have been out to the wings. So we haven't seen a lot of play to the middle in this game.
Yeah, the forefoot, it's kind of been like an unwanted stepbrother. This doesn't seem to, nobody wants to touch it.
Bergman will hit this right on the nose. I don't know if she'll end up shot rock.
She's not, but will they still hit it? I can see them doing it just because, again, they've seen many down this path, probably very comfortable throwing that shot.
Yep. Right on the nose is probably ideal here for Mitchell as well because she keeps that big space between the two. I appreciate the chips here, but I'm kind of interested to see Dustin open a bag of chips on air.
Not going to happen.
Not gonna. So like I said, Mitchell here trying to hit this right on the nose. That would be her ideal shot.
Right on the beak.
She's thrown that nice control weight today. A little bit tighter on this one. The girls got to work on it. Percy and O'Reilly really getting their work out this end. Trying to keep this one straight, and it looked like they've done a really good job. Really good sweeping there by those two.
Yeah, that was more like a hack weight, really, by the time it got down there. So really well swept by front end of Newfoundland.
We're starting to get very eccentric. I like it. It's going to bring in more viewers. Original chips.
And this is just draw one.
This is just draw one. I don't know if that makes me excited or nervous. Either way, you're in for a great week of curling here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Is that a little better? A little bit more? No? Too much?
It's something.
It's something.
If you're Manitoba here, I think you want to kind of try and roll towards that other one, make her at least think about having to hit shot rock appropriately and not just have to hit it somewhere thick and hang around in the house.
Absolutely.
If you could roll it somewhere near that blue rock in the back 12, put a little pressure on Team Newfoundland.
Looks
This
like
one's
she's
really curling.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. She's definitely going to get some roll over there. Great shot.
Oh, if it can sit right there, it would be perfect. Still does the trick.
Pretty good result.
Yeah, good
Very
shot there
result.
by Manitoba. It's going to force Mitchell to hit on the inside of it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. She's gonna have to be cognizant here of at least hitting it on the inside of the nose to hang around for the douche.
It's probably the best result Manitoba could almost ask for. Maybe a half rock roll less, but it's pretty good there by Manitoba, especially late in the end to put the pressure on Newfoundland. Well managed by Ginters in the host too. That's a tough line call. When you're coming across the face like that to hit the right angle to roll right over.
They were very patient with it, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Good line call by Ginters. So we'll probably see that same kind of, are you expecting like a hack weight, board weight here, Dustin? Or
I think with that kind of ice, it looks like that board type weight.
gotta make sure it doesn't take off on them, though is the big thing.
She indicated that it's down to the sweepers. This is on the tight side of things. They're gonna have to give her.
Oh, she's gotta go. Percy and O'Reilly working on it, but it looks like.
But again, this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Putting a little pressure. I think she, in her mind, had the idea of, and that didn't go through the ring, so that was pretty light on the weight. But it just speaks to what was in her head, right? I can't be wide. I can't be heavy. A little underthrown, a little tight, and Manitoba goes up 2. playing 6.
Might-
So you got to expect some guards now. We're 2 down.
Yep.
We got the brick.
Manitoba's going to keep it right on the top 4 foot, though, so we'll see what Newfoundland does with it. Because you got to expect her to come right to the top 4. Right on cue. There's Bergman calling it to the top 4 foot.
Seeing some momentum. You can just see the body English in Team Manitoba now a little bit. Feeling a little more confident, feeling a little good about where they're at right now in the game.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in our boys' game, Newfoundland just made a run back to limit the damage for Manitoba. Manitoba steals 1 in the 5th end. Now 3-2 lead for Newfoundland. However, it was a great shot there by the Newfoundland skip to hold the Manitoba team to only a steal of 1. So 2 close games. Newfoundland leading 3-2 in the boys, and Manitoba girls leading 4-2.
So I'm going to put you back in the coach's chair. So they've thrown this short. There's a guard up. Do you still throw the corner? Do you go around? Or do you go open side like she's indicating right now?
With the scoreboard the way it is, I don't personally like the call into the house. I would like to see my team be a little bit more aggressive if I'm a coach. Maybe throw the corner guard up, kind of get some guards in play. Especially in this even end, you really want to make sure you get that deuce. It'd be important.
Yeah, when you see a call like this, it's kind of dependent on a full miss, which you never want to depend on to generate multiples, isn't it?
No.
This one's running a little bit straighter for them. I'm going to touch it. They have.
She's accomplished her goal and gone to the wings. Maybe a little bit different path that they were expecting. However, the goal is accomplished either way.
But I do agree with you. This is getting late in the game. It's time to generate some offense. We can't be defensive. 2 down. With 3 ends technically to play.
Especially when you see a mistake there by Manitoba. They wanted to come top 4 foot. I think you got to take advantage kind of when a team makes a mistake like that. If you get a guard, even if it's a center guard up, you could either come top 4 or you can go to the corner there to start generating some offense.
Well managed here again.
Seems like your wife has joined us here in the booth, Dustin.
Yeah.
Hello, Whitney.
Oh, hi.
Manitoba's rolled to the back of the 12 foot.
You know, speaking of Whitney, we can't actually say because Peyton's actually just thrown. Her role model is Val Sweeting, a fellow left-handed curler, and my wife used to actually curl with Val Sweeting.
Wow. That shout out.
Only to be punted later from the team.
We just said that on air.
Yep.
Yep. Love the story. Now we have Newfoundland changing strategy a little bit, Dustin. We see them actually utilizing the center guard.
Happy to see it.
Gives us a little bit more to talk about
This
here.
looks really good too, actually, if it just simmers down now a little bit.
Good rotation,
Yeah,
though.
I like the rotation. You can see that rock. Just being consistent in nature with how it's coming, right? It's not taking a dive at the center line, which it would do if it had no handle on it. And Manitoba probably doing the right thing here. You know, there hasn't been a big draw game. No point really in drawing down here. They're just trying to keep the end as open as they can with their 2-point lead. They're going to have to go on this one, though.
This is kind of the pro side miss is what we talk about, though, Dustin. And you hit this one in the back of the 4 foot. Even if you get rid of your center guard, I don't think you're too upset. You didn't want that there in the first place.
That's right. Right you are.
So a good result there by Manitoba. Even though they didn't take away Newfoundland rock at the back of the 4 foot, they still got away their center guard. Up 2 points. It's kind of one of the main goals. Sometimes you see teams miss wide there, and then all of a sudden you're in it. So it's good to see them miss tight. I know they're probably not too happy that they missed the shot. However, it's a good pro side miss there. Newfoundland fans are going crazy for the men's game over there. Two good come-arounds, putting Manitoba in a little bit of trouble.
This rock's coming down. It's not going to get to the backings. Now it's more about rock positioning and having these be as straight across from each other as they can to not leave a double. Well, maybe first thing first, get second shot, which I don't think they've done. So Manitoba's going to have a chance here to lie 2, put the pressure back on Newfoundland. This is looking good as it comes down the ice here. We're going to get a nice nose hit, and we'll see what Newfoundland decides to do here to try to generate multiples here. If they kind of elect for a hit and flop, and they're going for a hit and flop away. And again, a very conservative call here. A little surprised, to be honest. You got a rock in the back 12. That's going to be second shot regardless of what you do here with this call. I kind of like seeing them hit and roll in front of that and make Manitoba deal with it as opposed to just having to hit a wide open rock.
Absolutely.
I do understand what she's thinking, though. Like, it does force them to have to hit and stick. But I just would like to see a little more aggression.
This is coming from Dustin Ekstrand, the most aggressive skip in the Wednesday Men's League. Likes to get some rocks in play.
This is a very good, well-played shot, though.
Yep.
Exactly what she called, so great shot.
You see how this can allow, like Dustin was saying, though, this now allows Manitoba kind of an open hit. If they were to roll to the right for you guys' camera on the last shot, it would have been a little bit more challenging of a takeout for Manitoba.
Well, and actually, when you look at it, it was about the same amount of roll. Like, she rolled about 1.5 feet. She rolls 1.5 feet the other way. It's not a straightforward shot for Manitoba.
Got to work on this one, though.
Yeah.
She's a little bit tight here, Ginters. Younger Bergman and Nidus are working on it.
I think maybe Mitchell knows something I don't, because she's now got an opportunity to lie 3. And, maybe she's just thinking, maybe we don't have... Oh. Well, I don't... How can you ignore that yellow rock if it's shot?
And there's the coach with the timeout.
Yeah, we can't. I don't think we can ignore that one this late in the end, can we, Joel?
I don't think we can. This late in the end, you have an opportunity to sit 3, and actually if they hit and stick on that, I don't see many doubles either.
This is going to be a short meeting. I see that the coach has just basically said hit it. And so.
Who's their coach here, Dustin? You got a
Oki,
name?
isn't it?
Oki, yeah.
Oki, who has been to a Brier and a senior championship, I believe. A few of them. Unless it's the wrong Oki I'm thinking of. Like, again, I'm just going off my own memory here, so.
You got a list beside you could use, too?
Yes, but I mean, I don't know if Gary Oki is the Oki I'm thinking of that's been to a bunch of Briers. I'm pretty sure it is. I hope I'm right. 93 Brier. There he is.
Skip to the 93 Brier. Shout out to Gary Oki.
Fellow commentator Russ Howard, champion of that Brier.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that you're putting us equal with Russ. It's very... Gary Oki finished 5 and 6 at that Brier. Missing out on the playoffs by a couple games. Some big names at that Brier back in the day. Vic Peters, Rick Folk, Rick Lang, Russ Howard.
It's a big shot here for Newfoundland, though, right now. This is a chance to lie 3. If they could get this in the house, it'll be very interesting to see how Manitoba deals with 3 rocks fairly spread out.
What do you think about this turn selection there, Dustin? Would you have called this turn?
I think there was enough room. The problem there, the release was soft early. She kind of suitcased it, they call it, and she's not going to make contact here. Just soft. And and when I say suitcase, basically she slid all the way to the broom and then kind of turned it to be on the broom as opposed to kind of releasing it nicely and getting it out to the broom. It started at the broom and basically curled out of her hand instead of curling halfway down. So Manitoba's got a chance here again now to lie 2. Fairly flat. Force Newfoundland either to make a hit or a freeze.
Ginters is a little bit more weight on this. The supers are indicating that she's a little bit up.
Not a lot of handle though, so we'll see some finish here. Yeah, it's finishing pretty nicely for her. And
got a stick though. Oh,
it doesn't. So we'll see if Newfoundland can
take advantage of that.
Take advantage of yet another opportunity and see if they can lie there too.
We'll see if she adjusts her broom here or if she just adjusts the throw. Good skip. She kind of recognized that her third was maybe a little bit tight on that last one and kind of give her similar broom and just
hope. This is a better release for sure.
Hope for a better throw.
Much better release.
Supers are kind of on and off this one.
I like the weight. It's looking good here. A little roll to the center would probably help too. Probably want to see that.
Perfect there.
It's a great shot. It's great.
Now does Bergman take on the double, or she just take on this hit?
Well, you know what I'm playing, Joel, but we'll see what she plays.
She's eyeing up the double. Ginters wants her to play it, it looks like. Bergman doesn't seem sold.
I'm okay with hitting shot, but I want to roll to center. I don't want to roll wide and maybe force them to freeze on it and actually bring 3 into play.
It's Bergman looking to hit.
But again, I don't mind going at shot rock. Like, we've seen enough curling today that, you know, a hit and roll out isn't, you know, out of the question. So having shots important in this game. Just with the conservative play calling mixed with, you know, just the ability to hang around.
Yeah, absolutely. In a game that we haven't seen many rocks in play, this deuce would be kind of huge for Newfoundland to get back in it. So for Manitoba to hit and stick her in the rings here, it kind of puts the pressure back on Mitchell to kind of hang around and keep that deuce intact.
Nice throw by Haley here, just kind of off and on all the way.
There's that roll of the middle that you're talking about.
And yeah, just keeping it simple. She's comfortable giving up 2. Have the hammer in 7, maybe try to blanket or create multiples, we'll see. But first things first, let's see a couple nose hits here.
Absolutely. So if you're in Newfoundland, would you ever consider rolling to the outside, maybe tuck a piece behind your own? Or is that a little bit too aggressive?
I don't see the benefit at this point, right? Let's keep them spread out. Let's get our deuce. Let's tie this game up and force Manitoba into playing a game next. And that's more what I'm interested to see is if she plays conservative, Manitoba maybe go, yeah, we'll try and blank this then and take hammer into 8, where I would be more thinking about trying to put some pressure on them in the 7th if they're able to get their deuce here. This looks good.
Yep, Mitchell's got a good one. Hit right on the nose, and I'll force a nose hit by Bergman to get her deuce. Oh, no, that's my mistake.
If you want to get back into the game anytime, Joel.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
I think she's got the right idea here. Try to hit and roll, and if she could ever get, even a quarter of the rock tucked, really put some pressure back on Mitchell to make a nice shot for her deuce.
Absolutely. Another nose hit would be ideal here for Manitoba. Maybe even just change the spot a little bit on them if they can roll a little bit to the one way.
Roll, yeah, exactly. Roll to a new spot.
Obviously, your first main objective here is you got to stick around. You got to make Mitchell shot as hard as possible. If you're leaving her open, draw to the rings, which she might. So she's just going to roll too far.
Fractions of an inch from being just a marvelous shot. Again, I don't mind that early in the spiel to just try something aggressive here. Where you're right, you want to stick around, but I don't mind seeing someone try to aggressively make a shot like that when the probability of giving up 2 is high, anyways.
Yep. And it forces Mitchell to play a draw, which we haven't seen many of from our back end.
That's right. Right, you are, Joel.
Kind of see what we're running here too. You got a time on this one. So early in the game, we saw around a 15-second rocket into the ring. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that's still the time. We haven't seen anybody really get caught, but then again, we haven't really seen a lot of draws either. So, and the other thing that's interesting is, like you've said, most of the play has been out to the wings, so the slide pass should still be pretty healthy.
Absolutely.
Should be able to drag this.
We're working on it. We got right on 15 seconds, so we'll see how well we were with predicting that 15-second draw. Good sweep in there.
And Newfoundland has put their hands together for their first deuce of the game, and this game is tied up.
Great sweep in
Play
there
of
by
the
O'Reilly and Percy. 15-second draw, gets into the top 8 foot, 12 foot there. Good sweeping, good managed by the skip.
One nice thing, though, about the conservative skipping is time won't be an issue for either team, it looks like, as we
No, absolutely not.
you know, there's only been one timeout used. Each team gets two?
Team
is that
gets
right?
2, I believe, yeah. With over 12 minutes left on their clock for 2 ends. Team
Yeah, I mean, they
Newfoundland
most
still
have
looking
half
good.
their time
Yep.
with 2 ends to go. Let's see if, like I said, let's see if Newfoundland's still wanting to kind of continue suit with these open ends, or if they're going to try and junk this up and force Manitoba's hand a little bit.
Quick update across the sheets. PEI's got back in the game a little bit over on sheet A. So
I thought it was across the rings. I thought that's what you were doing.
Across
you
the
had
rings.
you had a brand
across the ring. So
Is that what
we're
it-
doing our
or
across
around the rings.
Around the rings update? Around the rings.
I like around the rings more than across the sheets.
Across the rings. We're
Oh.
going here.
Around the rings.
Can you help me with that sheet 1? I can't quite see it.
It's a 6-4 for Ontario, with the last rock coming down in the 6th.
Perfect. Beside that, we have Ontario men still leading PEI quite heavily. 6-1. Saskatchewan females are leading 6-2 over Northwest Territories. The Saskatchewan males are leading 4-1 over the same Northwest Territories. The Alberta women are leading Quebec 5-3. However, Quebec has got back in that game with a steal.
But Alberta has the hammer.
Alberta does have the hammer going to the 7th, in the 7th right now. The Alberta men seem to be having quite a good game, up 6-1 on Quebec, playing in the 6th. Nova Scotia females are leading New Brunswick in a really good game, 5-4, playing the 7th. New Brunswick men are leading Nova Scotia men 4-3, I believe, playing the 7th. Our sheet, obviously, 4-4, playing the 7th, so a great curling game. And over on sheet 11, right beside us, sheet J, we have Newfoundland men leading Manitoba men 3-2, playing in the 6th, with a couple rocks to play. So Dustin, I missed what happened on our sheet while I was going around. We saw a little bit of light coming top 4 on Newfoundland, and then Manitoba heavy. Were they heavy on their
I believe
draw?
they were heavy, yes. Yes.
Now Newfoundland's kind of come top 4 foot. See Manitoba try and simplify the game a little bit, try and hit this one and roll to the wings. And on our Scott Tournament of Hearts update, Rachel Homan has a draw to the open house. Is it to the open house? She's up 8-7 here in the 10th. Last rock to come.
Great roll here by Manitoba there, to roll behind the off-centered guard, forcing Newfoundland here to make a run back.
First
This is
run
a-
back of the day.
Yeah, this is a very, it's a gutsy call, because if you don't make it, gives them the ability to split the house again here. Where
First run back of the day, we'll see how they manage this one. It's a little bit tougher line call on these run backs. You got to hit quite precise.
trying to direct it here. This needs to finish for them. I like the weight again. Didn't overthrow that.
Yep.
Not an easy shot. But again, control's kind of been given up now, and Manitoba will have the chance to split the house.
My team's ignoring me here. The team I coach is ignoring me. They're here to spare this weekend.
Oh. Sweepers aren't quick to touch this one.
Looking a little bit heavy. Bergman's kind of already given up on it on the side of the boards here. Looking for it to stop.
It's trying its best too.
Mitchell working on it. Ooh. Just slips through the rings. Manitoba may be disappointed, but not too disappointed because the blank's still in play, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Rachel Holman makes that draw to the 4 foot. which will mean an Alberta-Ontario final tonight in the Scott Turner Hearts. Chelsea Carey, which we might hear later on the broadcast sometime this week, taking on Rachel Holman from Ontario.
It's looking pretty good. Line's correct. It's one of these games, though, now when it's been tight and conservative, though, it can mean a lot of momentum for the week. You know, you don't want to lose these close ones, do you? Like,
no.
This can really set the tone for your week if you can pull the win out here. So
absolutely.
You know, these girls are grinding here late in this game to pull it out.
That might be the reason why we see some of the simplified strategy throughout, is they're not looking to give up that big end early in the week and kind of change the momentum. Good bounce back here by Bourbon, right on the nose. Lambs are trying to do the same thing. I think we'll see a lot of similar shots here to end this end here, Dustin. Trying to keep things simple.
Yeah, it looks like both teams are comfortable with Manitoba having to make a half-rock blank type hit, it looks like. So
yep.
See if she can do it, as long as everybody just does what they're supposed to leading up to that shot.
Yep. Which is interesting to see how we'll see the 8th end play out. The rest of the game's kind of been very conservative. However, if a team needs to score, what a shot there by Newfoundland.
On the men's side.
Men's side.
And, deserving applause as he made a very tough pick for multiples. So we'll sweep this right up, but I think she'll be hanging around.
Ooh, they gotta go.
Gotta make the big roll maybe here. No.
Ooh. Blank stone play. Got rid of the rock. That's a big thing. Newfoundland,
Do you ever throw a guard here if you're Newfoundland? She's calling for it, and I like it.
Yeah, she changed her mind.
Oh, dang.
It would have been interesting to see what we would have seen from Manitoba if the guard was called there, Dustin.
Well, again, I don't have the stats in front of me, but what is the numbers on winning when you're tied up without coming home in the 5-rock? What are the odds? 40-60?
When you're tied
Less?
up, yeah.
30-70?
This is where we need Russ and Cheryl and them to help us out with some stats. We can pull them up on the screen.
But that's where, again, I don't mind, trying to make Manitoba make a decision. Maybe they try to peel it. Maybe they, nose it. And now you have control of the end. Where here, pretty low pressure shot for Manitoba.
Yeah.
But again, we said it earlier, it looks like they're quite comfortable just making her make a shot to blank this end and seeing what the 8th end brings.
Yep.
Big shot for Newfoundland boys, though, there over on sheet J, because now they take a 5-2 lead, and not an easy shot. Could easily be 3-3 over there.
Absolutely.
This one's got a little more weight.
Not much handle, though, and it should see it curl up here right to the nose.
Yeah. Good shot.
Alberta fans out there, Alberta men have pushed their record to 1-0 after a victory over Quebec. Not sure exactly what happened in the 6th end, but the game is over. Alberta taking home the victory on their home soil. It's a good start for the boys. We have one other final out there right now. We have Saskatchewan girls took home the victory against Northwest Territories. So we have 2 finals out on the sheet. We'll update you as the kind of games come to a conclusion here. We're in the 7th end of our game. Manitoba leading the score by 4-2 over Newfoundland. We see just one rock in the house right now, rock top 4. And our skip, Mckenzie Mitchell, trying to hit it right on the nose to kind of keep the advantage going.
Yeah, at this point, you don't want to probably roll too far, do you?
No. You stay in the middle, kind of makes that blank a little bit harder for Manitoba. It's nice to roll a little bit like that, though. Change the spot up a little bit.
Yeah.
Made a mistake earlier, too. I said the game score was 4-2 on our sheet. It is 4-4 playing the 7th end.
Good of you to catch your errors.
Yeah.
You've made a few.
As Dan and Jay would say, you blew it. However, caught myself.
A little bit of a slide drift here. Might need this to come up for. Slid a little wide.
A little snowflake release, though. Got it back to the broom a little bit.
She could make the roll here, maybe.
Sneaky.
Oh, they should sweep this. They should sweep this.
Oh,
they had.
Could have been sneaky there. Late in the end.
Yeah.
Could have been a late in the end deuce there by Manitoba.
A little skipper's deuce.
Yeah. I think they were so intent on making the blank that they didn't even really think of the roll until it was too late.
Yeah, they never did touch it
Nope.
while it was rolling, did they? But, like you said, makes Mitchell look at a different angle here and throw it into out at the rock as opposed to out to him.
So Mitchell, biggest thing here, hit this on the nose. Let's go to the 8th end, tied up. Both teams, no lot of problem, like Dustin said earlier, with time clock. Both teams with over 9 or 8 minutes to play.
Do you ever see her aggressively try to make the roll here and force Manitoba's hand?
Personally, I would love it. If she can get a little roll here, all of a sudden Manitoba's really fighting against it. However, on the same token, if she does make the roll here, I don't think Manitoba's too upset if they give up a steal because you still retain hammer in the 10th or the 8th. Sorry.
It's a lot wider than what she wanted.
Trying to direct it over there.
She gonna make contact?
Percy working hard, trying to get contact.
Oh, she does.
Oh, good sweeping there
Good
by
sweeping,
Percy.
Yes. Easy blank though for Manitoba, and they'll retain hammer as they head into the 8th.
Good sweeping by Percy. Mitchell looked like she was a little bit heavy, a little bit wide, and Percy did a really good job of sweeping that to get it over. Catching enough of it. Everybody's happy. Mitchell's happy, and Manitoba's obviously happy taking the hammer into the 8th. Dustin.
Are you happy?
I'm happy. Are you happy?
I'm happy.
You're the cookie and a Cliff Bar. You're happy. Which
You know, that was a nice addition actually to them. You know, as a volunteer and you're not getting paid, might as well get a Cliff Bar and a cookie.
Yeah.
Right?
Some Tim Hortons coffee. Shout out to our sponsor, Tim Hortons.
Just trying to get some information too, maybe on the ice here. Just, you know, important to go through your normal routine here, throw an ice weight, get some information, see where the ice is. It is late in the game. Good chance to see, you know, if it's getting flat, you're going to see more curl.
Yep. You see sometimes younger teams kind of take those for an advantage and they just kind of fire it through.
Yeah.
But the more experienced teams, and if you're coached well, you sometimes see the teams really learning from that shot, even though it's a throw through.
So if you're a bug on the wall in that huddle, what is Newfoundland saying right now?
Newfoundland is saying we need to steal one, so we need to get a guard up, is what I'm hoping they're saying. Meanwhile, Manitoba in their huddle, what are they saying, Dustin?
Well, let's try and keep this as straightforward as you can. I mean, again, in the 5-rock rule, not easy to do. So it would have been interesting to kind of know where their heads are at. You know, are they going to play the tick if this guard's made, or are they going to draw around it?
And there we go. There's one of our first guards called today. We get a center guard up. Mitchell's going with the center guard because she knows she has to steal. We'll see what Bergman does with it. Now it's important to get this guard in play because obviously if she slips into the rings, Bergman's happy because she's got a simple end setting up. The only problem is Percy hasn't thrown many guards today, so finding guard weight might be a little bit of a challenge for her, and we see the sweeper's not getting anywhere close to this one.
Well, this one's going to slip into the house, which is exactly what Manitoba wants to see. What? That would have won hammer.
Yeah.
Cover the pinhole.
Absolutely.
Win you a turkey.
Won a turkey in the old turkey shoot.
Yeah. Do you want to stick here if you're Manitoba, or? I think so.
If you can shrink, you kind of want to roll away, don't you, though? If you stay right on the top of the button, I guess Newfoundland eventually has to deal with it. So it's not bad to stay right there.
It kind of goes back to what was discussed in the huddle. Like if you're not going to play the tick, if they throw up a guard again here and you draw on top of it, well, now they got to move 2 rocks.
Yeah. Interesting to see what Mitchell will do with this now.
You got to throw another guard. You don't have to guard this perfectly, but just no. I don't like that call, but you've got to throw a guard up. I don't like that call either.
How about the freeze, Dustin? We're 3 shots now.
I don't like that call either because if you don't put a guard up now, the chances of generating a lot of offense you're minimizing. By having all the rocks in play now, well, you can utilize the free guard zone for the first 5.
So as soon as if this freeze isn't made perfectly, you'll see Manitoba take it out, and all of a sudden advantage is strictly put right on Manitoba.
Guards are Newfoundland's friend right now, and it really doesn't matter what's in the top of the house. You need something to hide behind. There's 2 ways to do that. You have a guard or have angle, but to make a perfect freeze is hard. She's done it.
She's done it. She's done it almost as well as she could.
Again, I think Manitoba's comfortable.
We're seeing another freeze here, though. For as many hits as we've seen in this game, both teams are kind of going away from it now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Like, I'd rather almost see her bump it, move the angle a bit, than if you're going to kind of play in soft and just freeze, right?
If I'm Manitoba and I'm coaching this team too, I'm just telling them to get rid of both of those.
Yeah, throw the heat.
Throw the heat, get rid of both of those. Why go away from it if it's been working for us the rest of the game? If all of a sudden this freeze is made perfectly and Newfoundland can maneuver the angles for them, Manitoba might have trouble.
The thing is, though, this looks very good for them. And a little bump's fine at this line. Oh, she's got a good one here. It's a good shot.
Very well done.
Very well done. Interesting as the more rocks stay in play in the top of the house, though, that will help Newfoundland try to generate something, right?
If they can get the right angle late in the end.
The key is patience. You don't need to have shot rock right now, right? You need, for lack of a better term, junk. You need stuff that can generate protection either for you or problems for Manitoba.
I think sometimes early on in games when it's junior level, it's that fight to have shot rock early in ends. And sometimes you just, like you said, have to be patient because teams are too quick to want to have that shot rock. And you see at the higher levels, once you get into the pros, teams are much more patient. They know that they just have to have the right angles early in ends. And then they can generate something off that instead of just having shot rock.
That's right. And that's what this event's all about. Getting that experience, getting your feedback from your coach, going, here's what we liked, here's what maybe some things you might want to consider in the next game, and off to the races. You can see the talent here. Like, look how close all of these are. But again, it just shows you just how hard it is to make these. Like the perfect weight, and it's over curled by, only 4 inches. But because of that now, Manitoba's got a great chance here to kill that, move some angles around, and really take control of this end.
Absolutely. I think one thing we don't take into account is a lot of these teams aren't used to playing teams of this caliber either. Like a team from Newfoundland, when you're playing
used to having control.
You're used to being the best from your province. So when you're playing against a team that's a little bit better, more skilled, it's new. It's a new experience.
It's a great point. See, even here we're going with softer weight. Let's see if the sweepers can hold this. We do not want to hit this on the wrong side of the nose here, and they have. They're off it.
This is not going to work well.
This isn't what they wanted. But again, this speaks to what we're talking about. We're making this more complicated than it needs to be. Throw a normal weight. Make sure you eliminate that top stone. You don't want... If that shot was made exactly how they wanted, there'd be 6 rocks in the house right now.
Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden, Newfoundland's
5 rocks, sorry. 5 rocks.
Newfoundland's 1 double away from sitting 3 and controlling the front of the forefoot. Do you like the hit call here, Dustin, or would you allow them still trying to play for that angle?
I don't mind. Like you say, at this point, you've got a chance to really... I might choose the other turn just because the action of throwing this in turn is going to get killed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of good things can happen for Newfoundland if this is made.
Even if she hits anywhere on the inside and kind of rolls on top, she's in good shape.
It's a great shot.
Real good shot.
Great shot for Newfoundland. Manitoba needs to be careful here.
Real good shot there by.
Can't throw a lot of weight with that call. Now, for those of you at home watching, those two blue rocks, the one touching the center line, are right, sitting a little higher. So Manitoba has to be careful in the sense that it's really easy for a rock to kind of spin open if they throw any kind of weight.
Kind of that gear effect that Russ always talks about on TV. Kind of gear out of there.
Gear out of there.
Bergman in a little trouble here. This is maybe where you'll call upon that experience of a coach if you could call a timeout and kind of help you with those angles.
And they do have a time. They have both their timeouts.
They have both their timeouts.
So
disregarding the coach here in this instance, and she's going to go with the double. Important to hit it right. Oh. She just changed her mind.
And it's probably the right call. Just easier to get something out of it with this call.
Her sister resets in the hack. It's important to reset on those two, especially when you're right about to throw.
Well, especially when you're going from hit in your mind to a draw, right? You're right. You want to reset, go through your routine, and make sure you're thinking about how you need to throw this, because this is an important shot for them.
You can get the right angle. You might.
I think what would be really great for them, this looks like it's a little heavy, but just topping the one that is on our right and evening up those blues will really help them angle-wise.
Looks like they're going to stay on the one on the left, though.
It's going to touch it. That's not a bad
Not
result
a bad
for
shot.
them. Not a bad result for them.
Newfoundland's going to have a trouble.
So if you're Mitchell, what do you like right now?
That Bergman left that one in a really good position.
Well, it's going to be very usable for the rest of the end. And they can't do a lot with it. But actually, to what we're just talking about, and as opposed to maybe playing this double tap or double run to lie one, I might be tempted to try to hit the yellow on our right-hand side with just like a heavy draw and kind of spit it out away so it's not so usable. And keep my shooter in the pile and control the front. It's all about controlling the front when there's no guards now at this point, right?
You see a timeout here by Newfoundland. They were going to make a play, kind of a little run back on that. Maybe their coach, Gary Oakey, might think it's a little bit too soon to make a play on shot rock.
You got to think Gary Oakey probably experienced something like this in the 93 Brier.
Absolutely. Some of those games against Russ back in the day, Rick Folk probably had similar decisions.
3 rock rule.
Ooh.
Different then.
Probably less rocks in playing an end like this back then.
But I think it'd be interesting to see what Gary's talking about, but I think it is pretty important for them to... You've got to somehow move things slowly here to make that yellow rock in the top 8 a little less automatic for them.
Yeah.
It's not the rock that's on the button that's the concern. It's the one that's top 8.
Absolutely.
That rock in the button, it's never going to get any better. Right?
Yeah, it's never going to get any better. And you got 2 blues in front of it. So those kind of 2 blues are controlling that yellow rock. However, that one that Bergman just threw at the top of the 8-foot could be used later in the end by Manitoba. See what they come out of here with.
So it looks like they are going to do the double tap with looks like maybe a hack weight.
What's the ideal spot to hit this one, do you think, Dustin? Do you want to stay on the outside or do you want to stay nose?
Do a hair on the out, right? Because if you're just throwing hack, you want to. The big thing is the rock that's just biting the top 12. You want that to be in a usable spot and staying there. Like you do not want to hit this on the inside, right?
No.
A, it's going to kill the energy of that second blue rock hitting the yellow. And 2, I think what's important is keeping 2 rocks near the center line on that side, so at least you can control one side of the sheet.
Absolutely. Hitting on the outside too might have that rock that's raised back kind of going behind that yellow and maybe take that away a little bit too.
I think anywhere near nose, high side of nose is a really good result for them.
She's working on it. Good sweeping again here.
This is more like a board, but this looks very good. It's a great shot. Good shot.
Good shot by Percy. She's now sitting just first shot.
But it's one lonely yellow.
And a lot of blue.
This is probably the right call. Like, make a double here. Make the double.
So you might not be able
Keep
to
2 rocks in front of the tee line.
might not see this on the camera, but yellow is second shot at the top of the 4, just outside the top of the 4. Blue is sitting first, third, fourth, and fifth. So we need a double here by Ginter.
This looks close. Need a little finito.
It's got to curl up. Oh.
But again, you know, for Manitoba, that yellow rock in the top 8 is so in such a good spot, and Newfoundland it's hard for them to do much because, I mean, you could hit it, but you're killing your rock in the top 4, and then what? You know, they've got 2 rocks remaining in the 8-foot, and Manitoba probably likes their chances in that situation. Here, I like the call. She's trying to keep things going in front, controlling the front. So
I think important here to get this guard covering that yellow. Covering kind of Manitoba's only way into the 4-foot right now. So important to have this rock. We were talking about the Furby system earlier, maybe in that 3 zone. You don't want to be too long because it might allow an opportunity to come around, especially with the swing we're seeing today.
That's right.
And if you stay in that.
This looks heavy.
Sweepers aren't touching it. Sweepers Percy and O'Reilly have been very good today.
You want this as high, leave it as high as you can. You do not want this to the yellow rock. Line's fine if it sits. Not a bad result.
Yep, not a bad result at all.
Talk about patience here. If Manitoba hits that rock, that blue rock sitting in the top 8, you know, it looks pretty good for them, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I can understand wanting to be shot right now, but that would be a pretty good result.
I don't mind hitting that one on the top 8-foot, maybe making that double and kind of rolling a rock or staying right there even. If you stay right there, you have kind of 2 ways in.
I mean, this shot's not bad either. You got to make them make 2 really fine-tuned shots to block the run. And even right now, you know, she throws a board waiter at a similar parting stone here. She probably wins the game.
Yep. See Ginter trying to get rid of this blue one that's in front of her yellow stone. I think that's our main objective if we're Manitoba here.
She's trying to roll here.
Yeah.
And she will.
Trying to open up that yellow so she can move it back here later in the end.
So if you're Mitchell, you just guard for your life here?
I think you got that yellow's kind of in a tough position to get out. The only other shot I can see is maybe you play a tap on that one in the top 8-foot. You tap it back into the 4-foot, and then all of a sudden that raise by the yellow isn't good enough. Maybe you leave that for your last one though.
I like the guard here.
Yeah.
4 feet in front of the house is a great spot for it.
Looking in that 3 zone again.
Well, it's an exciting finish.
Yeah,
nonetheless, here at a
absolutely.
fairly conservative game. Here's got pretty spicy late.
Late in the game, we're going to have to see some pretty good shots by both skips. Trying to get Newfoundland looking for that steal to take home the victory, and obviously Manitoba looking to score that one and get off to that 1-0 start that's also important sometimes in events like this. Quite a few finals from across the sheets, and we'll update you with those right away here, but we'll let the last couple rocks at this end finish. Mckenzie Mitchell looking to cover up that yellow.
This one has a little more room than the last one, so we'll see. And they're also not quick to sweep this, but this is wider.
This is where you might see that high side sweep in. Here it comes.
You're going to need some finish here. And at this point, you want to sweep this into the rings because it's very important to have this in a spot where you can use it. Closing it in there.
O'Reilly does a good job to get the most out of that rock. I think they could have.
Not the result they wanted, though.
It's going to allow Bergman a chance to get shot rock here early with only 1 Newfoundland stone to play. Getting shot rock might be the play now here, Dustin.
I think you want to get shot, absolutely. But again, you don't need to throw a whack of weight here. It's pretty important to keep your shooter there. You don't want to just, hit half a rock, spill everything, and give them a chance to wrap around everything.
Absolutely.
You don't need to throw much more than a board weight here. Nose the rock, spill it maybe in behind those 2 blues. She's going to have some sort of a shot regardless. You can't take it all away here, but
I think to your point, Dustin, if we can kind of stay right in that top 8-foot, if she makes this run back, it's going to roll a little bit to our right, which if she rolls too far, it'll allow Newfoundland to draw kind of behind everything or some kind of play. Yeah. So if we can stay right there, all of a sudden she has kind of a shot on both sides.
That's right.
Bergman.
So, like I say, a hack or a board weight here, it looks like, with this ice, and try and get it as close to nose. And, you know, you're going to leave a shot, but you're going to have a shot for the win.
Yep, absolutely. Big shot here by Bergman. Not only a big shot by Bergman, but it's important for Ginters to have a good line call on this one.
Well, yeah, you don't want to get too cute to that one that's top 12, right? Like, let's just make sure we're high side of nose. And watch some granite fly.
She's a little bit tight out of her hand. She's got it back to the broom, but the sweeper's got to work on this one to keep it there. They got to go.
You got to go to get her by, and I think it's going to touch the top one. So with that result now, do you guard? Yeah, I think you have to.
I think you have to guard now if you're Mitchell.
You just threw it. You know what you need to correct it.
Yep. Might have been a little wide on her first one. Make that adjustment. Get that guard in that kind of 3 zone. Tight guard.
Yeah, you don't want to be. You don't need to be, you know, right on top of the house here and give her a short run back. 4 or 5 feet in front of the house, dead, blocking that yellow is a great shot.
That'll force Manitoba to maybe play something off these outside 2 yellow or blue ones, or maybe a draw around that side.
Or the run still, even, right? Like,
yep.
I don't know if you could. Do you think you could throw enough weight to roll off that wide one on the backside of the tee line?
Yeah.
And actually stay in the button. She needs a piece of the button.
She does.
So I don't know if that hit and roll is even there for her out wide. But
so you make that point, Dustin. That makes it all more important for this guard to be a little bit higher.
Yeah, because I think she's gonna. You know, you're right. The run back will probably be our easiest option. There might be a draw wide around that blue rock in the 12-foot, but that's tough. Very tough.
Very tough.
And a new path. Bit of a guess on weight.
Mitchell, important to be about halfway here then. Sweepers are on it early, so a little bit better weight. Line looks a little bit better, maybe still a little bit wide, Dustin?
I think they're close, though, here, because this is definitely higher. Yeah, you want to go on this for some curl. This needs to move. We got to cross center here. We're going to leave a short top for the win. Oh, it's trying its best. Oh, but it will leave. She'll definitely, she can definitely see most of that yellow.
Absolutely. Similar shot here by Bergman. If she throws similar weight that she just did.
Yeah, just that nice hack board and basically hit it thick.
Yep.
Bit of a treat for the skip when you can get to throw the same shot twice. That doesn't happen very often late in a game, does it?
Absolutely. A little bit light there by Mitchell. I think the line was probably better, just a little bit lighter than where she wanted to be. Sweepers tried to help it out help it across the line. However, still leaves that shot for the win here by Bergman. A lot of nerves here for this shot, though. Your first game at the Canada Winter Games, coming right down to the last shot.
Like I say, just hopefully she's learned from that last one. Just slid tight, so just get to the broom, throw that, don't overthrow it. Let the sweepers do their job here and punch a W.
Absolutely. Everything's kind of ending at the same time here. On the sheet beside us are boys, Manitoba and Newfoundland, right down to the last rocks as well. Here comes Bergman with the shot for the win.
Looks like nice weight.
It's close.
This looks pretty good for Bergman.
Sweepers are on and off it.
Oh, easy.
Sweepers are on and off. She's got a stick.
Oh. She does have it. I don't know if that was the way she drew it up, but she'll take it.
Yep. And that's a win.
Nice win. Ginter's quick to handshake there.
Take the win when you can.
Well, a very exciting finish here.
Maybe not the way exactly Manitoba thought. I don't know if she even knew she won. There, she just figured out she won.
Yeah, I don't think they talked about jamming it into the side there, but
no. She didn't know she won until she came down to shake hands. However, great game played there. Manitoba, Newfoundland. Manitoba improves their record to 1-0 in the first draw here at the Canada Winter Games. Newfoundland falls to 0-1. Both teams will be back in action here tonight at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, across the sheet, Dustin, you want to give us a around the rings quick update?
No, you can do it.
I don't know. Fine, I'll do it. So we have over on sheet A, we have Ontario who beat PEI. So Ontario men taking home the win to go to 1-0. On sheet B, that was the females on sheet A. On sheet B, Ontario men have also won, beaten PEI. Saskatchewan females are leading 7-3 in the 8th end, looking to take that victory over the Northwest Territories. Saskatchewan males have also won 7-2 over Northwest Territories. The Alberta females joined their partners, the men, in winning their first game. They won that game by the score of 6-3, it looks like. The men, Alberta, obviously won their game 7-1 over Quebec. We got a game just finishing here.
No.
Oh,
it's going in extra. Made a great shot. Great draw there by Nova Scotia through a tight port.
So Nova Scotia men just made an
We've
awesome
lost our
shot.
camera girl. We could have filmed one of these bad boys.
We could have. I don't think she even knows. Nova Scotia females won their game 9-5 over New Brunswick. Like we just finished updating, Nova Scotia men just made an awesome draw through a port to tie their game against New Brunswick up at 5, going to an extra end. Manitoba girls on our featured sheet won their game 5-4 over Newfoundland. And our last sheet, on sheet J, we have Newfoundland holding a 5-3 advantage with Hammer, and that game has just ended. Newfoundland taking home the victory over Manitoba. That game will finish 5-3 for Newfoundland. So mixed results for our Newfoundland men and women. The men taking home the victory, while the Manitoba females took home the victory, and the men slide to 0-1. So only a couple games left on the ice for our first draw here. We have our Saskatchewan Northwest Territories game finishing over on sheet 4, while we have our extra end between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick on sheet 9.